All righty, hello there, folks. Here we are, right on time. No dead air during MaM-a-Thon. Oh wait, well, we had a little bit. Sorry, we had a tiny little bit of dead air before Johnny's second segment. But hey, who's counting? You know what I mean? Hollywood.
Exactly.
We love Hollywood, right? Hollywood Ripper.
Yeah, I like him.
Actually, to be honest, I'm probably going to be competing for his Hollywood title here in my last segment, folks. But I have my good friend, my trusty Ouija here with me from Glasgow, Scotland. Miss Sharon Sunshine hanging out with me. Jamie Hart will be along here shortly. Hello, Sharon.
Hi. How you doing?
I'm good. Jamie Hart will be along here shortly. So those of you who know me, you know me, man, everybody. Well, you've seen how many more hosts there are this year. You know what I'm all about. You know, I'm all about the community and building it. And so I love the members. So that's what my final segment's going to kind of be about, along with a segment talking about the dogs. And we're going to be talking with Jeff Young and his dog Zoe. And we're going to be having a little chat about that sort of stuff. But bookmark or bookended around that is going to be basically some fun stuff and some stuff that happens in the Making a Murderer community that I think we should all be proud of. And partially what I'm getting at with that is in about 15 to 20 minutes, we're going to be having Mr. Brandon Maddox coming in the studio here, folks. And those of you who know Brandon Maddox, he's a very, very talented musician, very hardworking young man who deserves success. I mean, there's not a single person I can think that deserves it more than this guy. He's just such a hard worker. He writes really good. He's going to be playing a couple of them for you. Wait till you guys hear "Drive Me to Drink," because that song that should be a single right now playing across the country, in my opinion, because it's that good. And so we're going to be having him on here pretty soon. But so my last segment's going to be a lot about talking about people, the folks in the community, and like Sharon, like Linda. People that got, Linda, for instance, and Sharon recently has been getting pretty active on YouTube. But Linda was, one of the first ones after MAM2 who, when I was talking about encouraging people to start a YouTube channel, Linda K. Listening was actually, after being very afraid for some time, she jumped right up and boom, she got in. And now she's one of the loudest ones out there, and so you can't shut her up, which I love. So, I mean, so and we've seen more. We've seen the gentleman that you saw in the segment just before mine here, Mr. Andrew Whitehead. So we've also got more than that. Sorry, we have also had, and during this we've had Jerome, over there with the French Wrecking Crew. We've had some really, really great content, some really, really great guests. Dude, how many people were moved by listening to those wrongfully convicted men in Tracy's segment?
Yeah.
Whew. Or, well, actually, two men, and then there was the mom the mom of one wrongfully convicted individual. I mean, that was brilliant. And their stories are real, folks. It's like they're telling us where our system gets it wrong. They can point right to it. They can put their finger right on it. And that was brilliant. You see Adam Brazil with Johnny earlier, with Mr. Hollywood earlier. That was another amazing one. I mean, amazingly impressive Adam Brazil, in my opinion. And after everything he's been through, all the hardship, all the crap, the prison, being forced to take an Alford plea instead of being exonerated like he should have been. But that guy still got a freaking smile on his face, man. That guy's smile lights up a room. Dude, it's nuts. I mean, that's really something special. So we have Jamie here with us. He's made it.
How's it going, bud? Sorry, I'm having a smoke, so I'm not on camera right now.
No worries, buddy. So,
hi,
Sharon.
Right. So
just so you guys know, when you're talking about people here, I did try to get T1 to come on.
Yeah,
but he sent me some message in Braille, and I didn't really understand it. So I tried.
Was it a message? Was it a voice message? No,
it was in Braille.
What was it? Snail mail?
No, Braille, like the touch feel type thing.
touch feel. So it wasn't written on a ball?
No. I'm pretty sure there was an F and there was a U in there somewhere as well.
Future? Was it the word future?
Exactly.
Yeah. So this is what I was talking about, folks. Some of the community. This is my good friend Jamie Hart. A lot of you may know him, and main reason, a lot of big reason why I wanted him here is number one because he's one of the people that I'm really very close to in the community. Trust him more than a lot of people, and also because of our segment today is going to be obviously music is going to be involved here. He's very much into the music as well. He's been a big fan of Stacy Seabrooks, who all of you will know.
Absolutely.
And he even sent shipped an electric guitar to Raleigh last year to Stacy when Stacy was at Raleigh. Oh. And so he's always been in on the music end of it. And yes, Rhonda South, he also goes by Sam William Henry 582 on the Discord communities. So he's always been into the music and that sort of side of this stuff. So that's another reason why Jamie's here with me. But not only that, Jamie has been around since MAM2 when I started going live pretty much every day for like 3 or 4 months straight. And the Wrecking Crew got created basically, and all that kind of stuff was going on. Jamie was one of the ones that was there. He was one of the very most active ones from the word go. In there discussing the case for just months and months. We were all in those rooms. I mean, just constantly going at it. And Jamie's been one of the ones that have been there. So he's knowledgeable about the case. He knows what's going on. He's a very, very big fan of a lot of the other two YouTubers like Millbilly and Andrew and Foul Play and Dr. Silkman and all those folks you've seen this weekend that are just brilliant. So how you doing there, Jamie?
Thank you, man. No, this year, granted, yet last year was amazing. This year blew the doors off it. I mean, everybody. I tried to catch at least everybody's, even if it was not in my time zone. Mm-hmm. And we were all in the same boat, but I tried to catch everybody's for at least a little while if I could, set an alarm and get up and stop in and catch them. And this year was mind blowing, honestly. The guests, the knowledge, I mean, the conversation in all the chats was, I mean, besides me and T1 and, the usual, which everybody's used to, the chat there was a lot of great discussion going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Back in Hangouts back in the day.
Yeah. And even we had great ones then too, but we were limited to the people.
Right. We got limited. Yeah. We hit 199 and suddenly, 199 and suddenly people were like messaging us through Facebook any way they could find us. I can't get into Hangouts. And and that's when the lovely Denise Rainey, who's been ghosting me, by the way. Yes, I'm shaming you, Denise, because you've been ghosting me, but I still love you. Anyways, but she and her son got together and created the Wrecking Crew Discord community. I mean, they created that server, built it up, and got it all started, and it was amazing. And that's what we did after Hangouts because we hit that limit in Hangouts. So, but that's what it was like, though. I mean, more and more people were just pouring in every day, and I mean, we eventually hit that limit. So, all right, before Brandon gets here, I want to go ahead and talk a little bit to Sharon. So, Sharon, I want you to tell us a little bit about your process of making that wonderful video that you made for Teresa.
Oh God. Well,
let me ask you this: how much did you have to dig to get some of that stuff?
Well, I was about 6 months finding stuff, and just it was. I knew when I would have the right amount of stuff, and I never knew when MaM-a-Thon was going to be. Do you know what I mean? Right. But I had everything there, and I'd been like, right, when I've got enough stuff, I'll know I've got enough stuff. Mm-hmm. Or when the right time comes, I'll know I'll be able to do it. So I'd been working on it and finding, every time I found something on, like a group or something, someone saying something nice about Teresa, I was like, oh, keeping that, because it's hard to find things about Teresa, because everybody's so, any groups, they're always like, oh, we don't want you Avery loving people, coming in here. So when you go in and you're not trying to cause trouble or something like that.
Right.
So it was nice to get stuff like that. But yeah, so yeah, it's I do that on my channel anyway. I like to do videos about the victims, so I kind of try and get to know them in a way. And that maybe sounds a bit daft, get to know them when they're gone, but try and get to know as much as I can about them, so that when I do a video, it feels, I don't know, it feels right. It feels genuine, I suppose.
Yeah, right.
And I hope it comes across that way. It's not just like somebody putting a load of things together and, expecting some fantastic result.
Right.
So,
Right. Oh, it was beautifully done. I mean,
thank you.
Yeah, it was just really well done.
Oh, it was sad to do, but it was a pleasure to do, because she deserved something, that was there, that was hers, if you know what I mean.
Right. So, where did you find all that stuff?
Like in lots of groups. Just basically, I just like most of the time you can just kind of like put a name into like Facebook, and like you go through. There's like millions and millions and millions of things to look through, and it would be like I'd find I'd just look up the what it's like when you go on Facebook. You put up and like put in someone's name and it says things people are talking about such and such. So I just kept doing it periodically. I would just keep doing it. And because if you just try and Google Teresa, you won't find anything. You'll find the typical picture that's in that, making a murderer and all that sort of thing, but you won't find things. And I thought it'd be nice to get actually the words from the people that know her, because I could go on and talk about all the things like she went to Australia and all the different places, things that I'd learned, because I was learning things about her just like in the way that anybody could. Yeah. But I thought it'd be nicer to actually try and find the words of the people that actually knew her, and that might give more of a feeling. And I hope that's how that came across in the video, how much they miss her and things like that, so.
Right.
The story of her singing karaoke and stuff, it was nice to have,
Yeah. I remember the one about
know.
Well, I remember the one about the babysitting was the one.
Yeah, chatting all the way home.
Right, and then like she lived, 10 minutes away, but it took me an hour to get home.
An hour to go home,
Right. I thought that one was particularly moving.
Teresa might have had a bit of an Ouija in her.
Yeah. So
wee chatterbox.
I just wanted to say real quick, folks, we've all been playing with StreamYards this weekend, and we all obviously have seen that. We've all come up with different things. You can now see that I have a brand up there in the corner. I stand with Brendan Dassey. For those of you who may believe that Steven isn't mentioned in my ticker at the bottom, he is. That's what #WorkWithKZ stands for, because that's what KZ's doing. She is working very, very hard on Steven's behalf. Just wanted to point that out for anybody that maybe was a little bit confused about that. So, okay. And it looks like we got Mr. Maddox here ready. I'm all excited.
He's a good dude, and Meredith too. She's not a dude, but Meredith is awesome.
Happy birthday to Meredith, by the way.
Yeah, she's getting ready to come play alongside of me today.
Oh, cool. So I was actually going to add one more song.
Okay.
I think you might have a YouTube window open. I was going to ask you to play Time Will Tell on You as well. Start out with that if you didn't mind.
I thought there might be an extra one that might come along the pike.
Yeah, I'm not gonna ask you to play Ooby Dooby, so you're off the hook there. So
thank God, because I couldn't do it. Still,
right.
Still don't know that song.
How you doing, man? How you doing?
I'm great. Trying to keep my head up during the quarantine because of all the money I've lost on shows, but that's
right.
Part of what everybody's facing.
Yeah, folks, when it's not COVID-19 time, folks, this guy is a hard-working dude. He's working 9 to 5, right? Regular full-time job, right? And then trying to make your dream come true.
Promoting 9 to 5, promoting myself, or working some for my dad, doing some of what he wants, and so I do about 3 different things really with what I do. I have side business at work. Yeah.
So this guy is hustling, folks. You recently won a Josie Award, right? And that was obviously another feather in your cap. Obviously, you're moving up, and getting some respect, obviously, there in that world, where you're trying to break through. So, I can't say it enough, folks. If there's anybody I want to see succeed, I'd love it to be this guy, because he is phenomenally hardworking. I've always seen that about him in the last couple of years since I've been talking with you and everything. So, anything you wanted to say to Brandon? Jamie?
Thank you thanks so much for having us on here.
Yeah, absolutely.
I subscribe to Brandon, and I watch him and Meredith go on quite a few of their shows. And if you guys ever get a chance when he does his Facebook Lives, he takes requests. And my favorite song of his, and many, kind of a bad thing, but "Drive Me to Drink." The song is hilarious.
I love that song.
Absolutely hilarious,
folks. That song should be playing on all of your radios across the country. In my opinion, it's that good. In my opinion. So, like I said, I hope this guy is a hardworking guy. He deserves to be successcul. So I am hoping he will get there eventually. So
that's definitely a beach party song for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. We tried to release it last year, and we didn't use the correct promotional direction with it last year, and it kind of didn't go so hot. But we're trying to figure out, because every year is a new game with promotion on songs. And in 1 year it might be secondary market radio, and the next year it's Spotify playlist or something, and it just changes. It's continually moving target.
Right. I bet it's difficult. I bet it is. So, have you listened to Brandon's music there, Sharon?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
You like which one's your favorite?
See, it's hard to pick a favourite, because I quite like them all.
Yeah.
That's a rubbish answer. Is that the diplomatic answer? What was it? I think I like the one Time Will Tell on You. I think I like that one. Yeah,
that one is haunting.
Yeah, I think so. But then I think you either like the sound of someone or you don't, and it's hard to say, I prefer that song to that song, when you just feel someone when they sing, you just go, that's a good song. Oh no, that's a good song. Oh no, I prefer that one, but I still love the first one. Do you know what I mean? So
yep, absolutely.
It's take that as a compliment.
I tend to pick my favorite songs according to the lyrics. It's
me too.
If it's a good song and and I like the beat or whatever and everything, mm-hmm. I'm listening to the lyrics, and the song gets better the better the story is. Or if it's humorous, it can be humorous, and it can
mm-hmm.
It depends how it strikes me, but
that's why I love Johnny Cash songs.
For me.
That's why I love Johnny Cash songs, because you're listening away and you're hearing a story, and other people are just hearing the music. But I'm like, so.
Right. So what do you got going on right now, Brandon? I mean, what are you looking to? Obviously, you got probably COVID-19 in your extended future, and you're probably not sure where you're going to be playing next, I imagine, right?
That's right. Yeah, everything is kind of on hold until that, kind of passes. We have shows that were booked out, several months in advance.
Right.
And even we were going to head to Chicago at the end of this month. That had been on the books for 5 or 6 months. Right. And we just got an email from the head honcho, the booking guy there, because sometimes I'll work through one of his people, and she'll do all the, telling, okay, you need to be here at this time, and correspondence with me and the band. But this time the guy reached out and he said, we hate to do this, but this virus has caused us to have to, not do the show. We want to reschedule down the road with you, but, we love you and all, but we really can't have you up at this time due to the virus.
Right. Well, I got to imagine most things like that, where crowds are going to be getting together, they're going to be getting shut down. So.
Right. And it's always packed at those venues there. I mean, it's elbow to elbow, kind of like what big name acts would have at the Chicago shows. It's very college age. Everybody's just in there, just jam packed.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. So, are you? I guess you're probably going to be leaning pretty heavy then more on your Facebook Lives and getting on things like that, just to get out there while this unfortunate, period of COVID-19 is upon us.
Yeah. The Facebook Lives have been really, really a lifesaver in this time, because people have been donating, and we've been paying our bills with those donations from Facebook Live.
Right.
Without that, I do have, fortunately, if this virus had come along 3 or 4 years ago, we'd be really hurting, because I wouldn't have my dad's money to lean on. So we got different streams of money now, but in the past, it was really rough. If you didn't, if we lost the shows, we'd be really hurting. I'd hate to think we would.
Sure.
Yeah.
Back in your humbler beginnings.
Could you imagine doing concerts now, though, Brandon? Like everybody out there singing back to you wearing a face mask? I think it would just look so awkward.
Yeah, that would be really weird to look out and see that for sure. But
try to play the guitar with a pair of gloves on, that would be funny as well. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be weird to have that going on, but at the same time, I would probably take it over where we are now, just because of the money, just because I could count on the venues paying me X number of dollars and how much is coming in. But with the way it is now, you don't know how much people are going to give on Facebook Live. It varies. Nights they feel generous, sometimes they don't, and you're at the mercy of it.
Sure.
Hey, real quick, I'm watching chat while Brandon gets ready here to play, but we just had a question for Brandon from Master Crooner. He wants to know, or she, I think, if he has a home studio or what he uses to do finished recordings.
Yeah, so that's a good question. I really don't have a good home studio, which is kind of, I think, maybe held me back as far as some of the songwriting pitch things where you make demos to pitch to people.
Right.
And some people can make really fantastic, audio recordings, with their home studios these days. And you don't have to have necessarily something, people's ears aren't so much like this has to be a huge production anymore. But I use Doug Sizemore of Reba's band. So whenever I do like professional grade album tracks, stuff that I want to release to radio as a single, I call him up, because I'm thinking I'm gonna have to put money behind this. It's gonna cost me, but this has to be professionally produced, way higher than my capabilities are for that.
Right. All right. Well, I think maybe a good time to move into time will tell on you. If you're ready.
Let's get Meredith to say hi to everybody.
Oh, yes. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to Meredith.
Let's get her.
Birthday to you.
Hello.
Hey, everybody. Thank you all for having us. We're glad to be here.
Happy birthday.
Thank you for being here.
So this song, go ahead.
I was saying, awesome to have you guys here. So
yeah, the Time Will Tell on You song that I'm about to play is one where I'd written it years before, Stephen Avery and Making a Murderer, that hadn't come out. Making a Murderer hadn't come out yet, and I was just writing a song about a relationship more, and it turned in that after the Avery thing came out, I thought this is a good song for the Avery case, and so Rubber Ducky heard it too. I was kind of sending it everybody's way at that time, and she heard it and she really liked it. So it's kind of taken on a new meaning with time.
Yes,
so,
I do recall that, by the way, when you when she used it and had a big live involving that and everything. Yeah, that was a good one. So
yeah. All right. Well, here it is.
All right.
You can tell yourself and all our friends I was wrong and you were right. But your sins that happened in the dark will come out in the light. I'm not gonna waste my breath. I won't put up a fight. 'Cause the days are gonna whisper and the months are gonna talk until it gives you out the truth. And time will tell. Time will tell on you. When a train whistles far away, and when the cold wind blows, when the lightning in your eyes reveals the darkness in your soul, the world will be reminded of what it already knows. That the days are gonna whisper, and the months are gonna talk, till the years yell out the truth. And time will tell on you. No one may ever say a thing, as surely as the seasons change. When you feel everything points at you, you're to blame. And the days are gonna whisper, and the months are gonna talk, till the years yell out the truth. And time will tell on you. It's gonna tell on you.
Oh, I love it, dude. I love it. You know, and I like it when you tell the story about that song, dude, of how you came up with it, because that song started out as a love song, or, well, a breakup song.
Yeah.
You know, but either way, you know, it's both sides of the same coin, love and hate. But anyway, that's what it is. And the fact that it transitions, I mean, the words, you know, the days are going to whisper, the months are going to talk. You know, it's that's what the people in Wisconsin are dealing with, that have some culpability in this, folks. They are dealing with the fact that the days are going by and the months are going by, and we aren't going fucking away. We're still here. And so that is what's going to weigh on them. And so that's what I dig so much about that song, because it just transitions that its original meaning. It transcends it and really does have a true meaning with the Stephen Avery and Brendan Dassey cases. So congratulations, man. It's a great song.
Thank you. Yeah, I can't wait till the months whisper and the days talk and everybody comes to justice on that. You know, they've been hiding it. Yeah.
Well, honestly, if you can think about it, the first time that song was brought to us, and that just hearing that song made me start following you for your other music. That's how powerful that is. And I know that I'm watching chat, and you do have a lot of MAM fans that are following you on your other music as well. So
I'm so grateful for everybody doing that, everybody who's followed the other stuff, because you know it's something where, you know, I put hours and years and, you know, a lot of my soul into songs. And you know, I remember when I wrote that one, it was something where I really had to go back and edit it and rewrite it. It didn't just come out in one sitting. It had a couple of different times that I had to get on that song. And so where some writers may write things very quickly and fast, I tend to, different ones are different animals for me, and I have to concentrate more on some. So it means a lot. It just means a lot to have people that check out the other stuff. When they hear one, they go researching what else has this guy got. And it's awesome to have you guys.
Right on, man.
Well, had I known that you were going to be on tonight, I would have on my Brandon Maddox shirt that I got for you.
That's great.
I was completely unaware.
We surprised for Jamie.
Did you get Drive Me to Drink? Is that the one you got already?
No.
No,
I'm trying to think.
In the like GoFundMe type thing, and so he got the black weightless Brandon Maddox.
Yeah, it was weightless. Yeah.
Yeah, I do too now.
Yeah.
But yeah, he got that one. I wondered if he got the other one too. You know, we
Yeah.
got a new shirt. We just started working with a company partly because, you know, people have been hurting so much, artists have been hurting so much, and it's hard for us to get the stimulus package because we don't have a, you know, long list of employees and documents we can send into our banks and get that stimulus package. So with that being said, you know, we needed more forms of money coming in, and besides just Facebook Live. And a company reached out and they said, hey, you know, would you like to partner with us? And you won't have to have any inventory. We'll handle all the inventory, so you don't have to have activities in your own house.
I'm posting the link for that website right now, folks. Go ahead.
Oh,
Yeah, please.
thank
Thank you
you.
so
Thank you
much.
very much.
I am getting the Drive Me to Drink shirt for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I'm gonna get one too.
Get buying, everybody.
I love the
get
song,
buying.
but the shirt is even better. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or, you know, you can claim the song if you got the shirt. It's a lot easier too.
You need one with the words on it. He needs one with the words on it.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, you need like the whole lyric on the back.
Right. The whole, yes, there you go. All the verses on the back. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Good idea. New range idea for you.
Yeah,
Or are they written upside down?
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or have them look blurry, so you know.
Blurry,
It's like double vision is kicked in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a marketing meeting, folks. It's cool, you know. Anyways, no. So, all right. So let's get into talking about, you know, now you obviously watched Making a Murder. You have great passion for the cases and everything, and eventually you did sit down to write a song specifically for Stephen and Brennan, which you're going to be playing here in a minute. But tell us a little bit about your process with writing MaM-a-Thon.
Yeah, a lot of times it's kind of like the idea comes to me and the title comes to me first, and that's kind of what happened with MaM-a-Thon. Right. So I was thinking, you know, those people just need to man up there. I mean, they need to stop being, you know, pansies and start being good, you know, come forthright with this stuff. And so I started thinking about that, and I thought, MaM-a-Thon has some good alliteration with it, and it sounds good. It rolls off pretty good. And then I start thinking, what can I rhyme with Manitowoc? And so I was like, I'm not going to be able to rhyme Manitowoc perfectly. You know, how do you hand in the walk? I mean, what are you going to rhyme with Manitowoc?
Yeah. Did pretty well.
I was thinking it's going to have to be something where it rhymes with walk, you know, and that's going to have to be it. So then I just, you know, kind of worked out from that. I knew that'd be my chorus. And so I started thinking, you know, Manitowoc, and what else do we need to say with that? You know, just come out with it, stop hiding it, stop being adolescents about it. And then you just start thinking, letting your brain go wild. That's what I do. Just kind of let my brain go crazy with it. And then eventually, after saying the words over and over, you get a melody for it. You kind of get a, I like the shirt there, Jamie.
There it is. You got it.
That's beautiful.
True supporter, man.
So then I just started singing it, and it came to me, and I was like, okay, so I'm going to kind of make this a rockin' one. This isn't going to be as country. I was kind of thinking Bon Jovi-ish as far as the style goes and the production. And a lot of times that's what happens is I'll hear the whole entire production in my head. Mm-hmm. I'll hear the instruments, the guitar parts and everything going on. Mm-hmm. And so it kind of came to me like that. I just sat down, and then comes the grind. After your brain goes wild and you think of things, then you just have to sit down one day and take that and just kind of beat it, you know, just kind of beat it into submission. And that's what I did over a couple of days. And then I might get to a place where I'm blocked up about it. And I'd say, well, it's enough for today. I need to come back some other time fresh and look at it again. It's just a process.
Yeah. Right. So, all right. Well, you know, I know you finished writing it. You sent it over to me and everything, and I know I was listening to it, and I actually instantly liked it. And but I could tell that I don't know. I just love talking about this particular story. But I could tell when you had sent it to me, you were full of energy. It was like, and I loved the song and I loved the energy and everything. But I think it was because you were early in the process. It seemed like you were rushing it a little. And so you eventually just kind of slowed it down a little bit, and then it like gelled. It was perfect. But yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I knew it was fast. And a lot of times when I, write songs, I know that they're not quite there yet.
Right.
And you were kind of part of the process to tell me what I already knew, Rich.
Yeah.
So that's what happens is, I just need somebody to affirm what I already believe.
Yeah. And make sure you're not crazy, right?
Yeah, make sure I'm not crazy about that. So I slowed it down, and I also changed a little bit of the words after that too, and tried to just make it flow better because I knew something just wasn't quite clicking on all cylinders. And that just comes with time and stuff. Yeah,
it did. And you didn't have to slow it down much. I mean, I think it was you became less eager to jump from verse to verse. There was just a little bit of a break in there that kind of made the song kind of just work better. So I thought it was great. So some of you may be wondering what song we're talking about. Maybe you've never heard it before. A lot of you probably have because I've had them on before and I've had them play the song. But here we go. Brandon's going to play Man-a-Thon for us.
Yeah. Tell me, how long are you gonna keep up the charade? You're lied and covered up, that's why you're lying in this bed you made. The truth is coming out, you might as well come clean. You framed an innocent man and now your picture doesn't fit you. Your gun's blowing smoke, but you're denying it. So bite the bullet you claimed was his. Get some guts and admit what you did and man up, Man-a-Thon walk. Let's hear it from your lips and see you on the talk. We've had enough childish games, Mr. Cod. The world wants to know if you've got the stuff to man up, Man-a-Thon walk. So you took a man's life for a life it didn't take. Ground her in a cell. What difference does it make? Framing somebody should really be a crime. Instead you hide like sissies behind your cronies. Step out and prove you got the cojones to man up, Man-a-Thon walk. Let's hear it from your lips and see you on the talk. We've had enough childish games, Mr. Cod. The world wants to know if you've got the stuff to man up, Man-a-Thon walk. Where you bungle the clues with no choice but think that you're in on it too, and the real killer's still on the loose. How can you sleep when the best that you had in this case was a coerced confession? You say you're so sure was his answer. Was it yours to the $36 million question? Hear it from your lips and see you on the talk. Clean house right down to your last crooked car. You've blown it, and I want it. Wisconsin bottom to top. It's time you got on it and man up. Your judgment day is come, Man-a-Thon walk.
Yep, I love it, dude. I love that one.
Hey, give it up to Meredith on percussion, though, too.
That's the first time we just learned it like moments before we went live.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Thank you for the
Awesome.
compliment, Jamie. I needed it.
You could get that by on some other people if they haven't watched your live or your Facebook lives. I've seen her on them. She's doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, she didn't play music till about 2015. She really kind of dabbled with guitar, but was just having fun with it, And then we got married on the beach in 2015 in Florida.
We eloped on a tour, is what.
Yeah, we eloped. And so her parents were a little upset. Mine were fine. But after that, she said, we can go to Guitar Center and get some percussion instruments. And that way, we won't be apart. That way we can tour together and be together. And that's how that happened.
Yeah, pretty much. And then I had a much smaller drum that I played until just a couple months ago. So I'm still getting used to playing this big cajon because the sounds are actually switched. So what I learned to do with my right hand is now my left hand. So even though I really didn't know what I was doing, now I have to think in reverse to try to do it all over.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's one way that helps you remember it and learn it better. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
So
she knows it backwards and forwards.
Right on. Okay, so I've got some other guests lined up, but I really, really do want everybody to hear "Drive Me to Drink" before you go. So I was hoping you might play that for us now.
Absolutely.
Alrighty.
All right. And this comes from, quick story. Just comes from basically my friend had an idea, "Drive Me to Drink," and I was like, that sounds like a hit. I said, what do you think do as far as, the idea of the song? He said, just like that passionate, fiery relationship that you have. And, it's great for the moment. And then you fight and then you make up and you fight to make up. So it has all those things in it. I thought, that sounds commercial, man. Let's go with it and let's write the best we can on it. So me and my friend Adam wrote this next song, "Drive Me to Drink."
Right.
I don't get behind the wheel with Jack Daniels riding shiny. I watch Netflix, kick back and chill when I've had a few hot toddies. I hate to say you make me crazy, but you bring me to the brink. I don't drink and drive, but you drive me to drink. Hot and cold, man, it gets old when love stops being new. You put your best foot forward, but what the hell did I slip into? You and I are like fire and ice. Up is down and black is white. The only reason we make up is to start another fight. I don't get behind the wheel with Jack Daniels riding shiny. Watch Netflix, kick back and chill when I've had a few hot toddies. I hate to say you make me crazy, but you bring me to the brink. I don't drink and drive, but you drive me to drink. It's a tug of war, we both want more. A love we love to hate. Retreating back once we've attacked, no white flags ever raised. Swear we die without each other. Can't live with what we got. So mad you're cute, I gotta drop my boots and pick up one more shot. I don't get behind the wheel with Jack Daniels riding shiny. I watch Netflix, kick back and chill when I've had a few hot toddies. I hate to say you make me crazy, but you bring me to the brink. I don't drink and drive, but you drive me to drink. You're like the bottom of this bottle. I don't want to see. I breathe you in like cigarettes. I know you're bad for me. Yeah, I know you're bad for me. Well, I don't get behind the wheel with Jack Daniels riding shiny. It's Netflix marathons and chill when I've had a few hot toddies. I hate to say you make me crazy, but you bring me to the brink. I don't drink and drive, but you drive me to drink. I don't drink and drive, but you drive me to drink. I don't drink and drive, but you drive me to drink.
awesome, dude. I freaking love it, man. You're right. That is your hit. That should be your hit. That thing should be playing everywhere. I love it.
I agree. Thank you so much.
And like I said, you're working hard enough, dude. It's gonna happen for you. It's hard for me to believe it won't, man, because I can't think of somebody who deserves it better. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. And the fans are where it's at for us. We just, if we don't have those fans, we can't do anything. It really boils down to those, to everybody out there sharing the videos, sharing our music, getting everybody into it. And we don't have that going on. It's not going to happen, unfortunately. But we hope that everybody keeps sharing it and keeps enjoying the music and turning people onto it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, folks, if you're not already following Brandon Maddox out there, sorry, go ahead, Jamie.
Oh no, I try to promote it everywhere I can.
There you go.
Yeah, Jamie's out there doing that. I can see him sharing stuff, and thank you, Jamie, for making that happen. I appreciate that.
Hopefully,
for those of you. Sorry, go ahead, Jamie.
Hopefully it helps. That's all I'm saying.
Right on.
I keep going to jump in, and then I'm like, oh, he's jumping back. No, I was just going to say best of luck to you with everything. I really do hope you get.
Thank you.
Not success, but the recognition you deserve. Because success is a different thing. You know what I mean?
And hopefully we'll be able to come to the UK at some point and get over there.
To Scotland, yes, come to Scotland.
Yeah.
We'll love you. We'll love you in Scotland.
She's a very proud Scot. That's why she had to make that distinction.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. We're not English over there.
Yeah, right.
All right. So, folks, if you don't know who Brandon is, if you've never seen him before, and this is your first time, like you just fell off the turnip truck, so go check him out. It's got some great stuff. And like I said, guy's working really hard. He deserves to be successful. So if you dug his stuff tonight, go check him out. So thank you for being here, Brandon. And
thank you so much for having me, Erekose. Thank you, Sharon and Jamie,
Thanks.
And happy birthday, Meredith.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Good to see you guys.
Take care.
Good to see you, buddy.
We'll see you.
All right.
Well, thank you for that surprise. I didn't. I would have already had my shirt on if I knew he was coming on.
That was nice, wasn't it? That was nice.
Absolutely.
It
They're
really
good
was.
people.
Okay, Jerome, I'm sorry I didn't see your question in time, but we'll talk to Brandon another time and we'll ask.
Oh, Erekose, someone said away far up in the chat, don't go way back up, but someone asked, is that a Glaswegian accent that they could hear? Right? And I thought I would point it out to you. Yes, it is. It is well spotted. Well spotted. I don't know if they're still there, who it was that said it. But I didn't want to interrupt you when you were on your flow, So, but I thought it was quite funny.
Let's see. All right. I've gotten a little bit mixed up here. So I guess let me bring in two of my guests here real quick and have a little conversation with them and ask them what they think. Hello there, Magilla and Rule.
Hi, Erekose. Hi, Sharon.
Hi, Magilla.
Hi,
I must admit, how you doing, Magilla? I must admit that I got a little bit goofed up because Andrew asked me to go early, and so I'm supposed to have Dan Davies on, and so I don't know. How do you guys feel about maybe giving me another half hour to talk to Dan Davies? I don't know. I know you might have to go to bed, Rules, so this may be a deal breaker for you.
Oh no problem.
You're good.
I will stay up late. No problem at all.
Awesome. Okay. So if you guys, is that okay with you, Magilla?
Yeah, I mean, I might fall asleep, but just yell. I got headphones on.
Okay, I am sorry about this.
We'll just throw you a banana and it'll wake you up. We'll just throw him a banana.
A bunch of bananas. That'd be good.
Yeah, a bunch of bananas. Yeah.
Excellent.
All right.
So
I will just
a half hour.
About a half hour. If you guys want to rejoin at that point, that'd be great.
Okay.
All right, everybody. That's Rule and Magilla. We'll be talking to them very soon. For those of you who are wondering about other guests, there you go.
Played off stage, or?
If you want, you can. I can just leave you backstage. So
yeah.
All right,
that's
guys.
Fine.
That's where the cool kids hang out, though, isn't it?
So as I just said, The next person we're going to be talking to is Dan Davies. He is working on getting up in here right now. So, for those of you who don't know who Dan Davies is, for those of you who maybe are wondering what the heck this thing is that Erekose is wearing, this is a shirt that I got when I was in Wisconsin at Eagle Nation Cycles. And we are going to spend about a half an hour talking about Eagle Nation Cycles, which is just a tiny little hopping and skipping and jumping hour west of Manitowoc in Neenah, Wisconsin. And we're going to be talking about the disturbing nature of law enforcement in that area to not tell the truth and sweep things under the rug and to be generally dishonest to avoid any kind of responsibility. It's pretty sad, but the Michael Funk Eagle Nation Cycles case is one that really, really illustrates that. So, as we are waiting for Dan to get in here, which I believe he's working out right now. Oh, he's okay. Yeah, hold on. Let me just resend him the link real quick. Oh, did I?
Let me guess. He's going to be a half hour now, so we got to mix it up again.
No. He's ready. He's there. I just got to get him the link. Sorry. My bad, Dan. I'm very sorry, Dan. Forgot to get you the link. I sent it to everybody but Dan. Damn it.
I done that with Paul today.
You know I don't give you much slack. I call you out on shit all the time.
There he is. Okay, and
all out of love.
Paste. Okay, so there we go. Sorry, Dan. Who's not behind the wheel here in Erekose Studios? Okay, all right. That should get him in here fairly quickly. He's used this before. We've all been on this before, so I've done interviews with him before. So he'll be here in a second. Now, obviously, we're going to be talking about Eagle Nation Cycles. Now, why Dan Davies is coming in is because Dan Davies is going to be playing Michael Funk, the gentleman who was shot down by Neenah police officer Craig Hopper. And Dan Davies will be playing Michael Funk. In fact, they don't even say he will be playing Michael Funk. They say he will be Michael Funk. So Dan Davies is going to be coming in here in a second to explain, a little bit of what's going on with him right now and some of the success that he's having. And here he is. He is ready to go. Let me get him added in here. Hello, Dan. How you doing, buddy?
Hello.
Hi.
Uh-oh, we don't have his audio.
Hi, Sharon.
I can hear him. Hi, Dan.
There we go.
Hi, Jamie.
How's it going, Dan?
Great. Do you have my audio?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, good.
There you go.
I'm in Wisconsin.
Oh, you hear me? Now you're gonna make me show off.
Is that beer cheese soup in a mug?
Yes.
Find it.
I wish. Yeah.
Paul's probably stolen it.
That looks better than beer cheese
Because
soup.
Paul, I have it actually.
Yeah.
Anyway, hold on a second. Since Dan is showing his off, we got this in Australia.
Nice.
So yeah, that was the type of beer, and of course, Mr. Paul. Little bit of dishonesty.
You may have dusted it.
It needs to be a little dusty, but a little bit of dishonesty. He walked away with it, and then he didn't take it home with himself. He shoved it in my bags. That little bastard. Anyways, so how you doing there, Dan?
Good. I'm getting a little bit of an echo. Is that because I have two of these open? Good.
Oh yeah. Oh, you might want to mute the YouTube so that that's muted.
Okay.
Because that'll come through on a delay and it'll throw you off. Whoops. Hit the wrong button. All right. Technical difficulties, folks. We'll get there.
Was that from the place downstairs? Paul took that.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, because you were doing a live and he kept coming up with me half
Miller's
pints.
Point. Yes. Yes.
Oh, no.
My God.
Okay, there we go.
There we are.
Hi.
All right.
You're back.
So I guess, Dan, I wanted to, number one, I want to tell everybody about Michael Funk and Neenah and what those officers there were up to, and why there seems to be a culture of corruption in the police in this particular area of Wisconsin. But before we get to that, I wanted to talk to you about some of your recent accolades and some of your recent successes that you could explain to folks in terms of Netflix and that sort of stuff. Is he hearing me?
I think he's having hearing.
You hear me?
Sure. I have a couple of these open, so I'm still getting kind of this weird.
Right.
Oh. So, okay.
Yeah.
So you probably want to mute any YouTube windows.
There we go. Is that better? There we go.
All right. So can you hear me now better? There we go.
Yes. Perfect.
Sweet.
Perfect. I'm
Okay.
sorry about that, guys.
Okay. So I wanted to go ahead and have you tell everybody that some of the success that you've discovered there recently, no worries, that you've discovered there recently, actually since coming on as Michael Funk or being, brought on as Michael Funk, some of the good fortune that you've had.
Yeah. I've been, I just recently have had some real bad family news, but every day and every way gets better.
Very sorry
which
about
is
that.
weird. Thank you. Which is really odd to be tempered against this massive success of a trip to Jamaica, a film that I co-star with Eric Roberts. It started off as an African film, did well in Africa, did well in Europe, but then once Netflix picked it up in December, it has its own life, and it's massively huge, and it's really freakishly big now, which is strange, because to be honest with you, it's a shitty movie.
Wow.
So just to be very brutally honest, it's not a good movie, but it's doing well in 190 countries on Netflix, which actually blows me away. So that's some really good news, which is gonna bode well for a couple of movies that I have coming out this year, The Runners and I Dream of a Psychopomp. One of them is an action adventure, the other is a horror film. But very, very excited about $50 Million Bullet. And, with this COVID-19, there's all these delays and cancellations and postponements, and it's every single project in Hollywood is at a standstill because of it.
Gather together in groups anymore, right?
You bet, deservedly so. But it's like we're chomping at the bit to get it going. We still have David Starr and Kay Reitz and Donna Frankart and Steve Arado, and got Bree Sweetac, Sweetacular Art, who did the poster, which I think is amazing, the $50 million poster mock-up. We've got some, and Jeff Olm, who's a Hollywood legend. So we have some really awesome people around the project. It's just now getting past this COVID-19, getting all of our investors, all the ducks in a row, and hopefully start shooting sometime in 2020.
Yeah. Rachel Napstein wants to know where you're from.
Oh, I am from Wisconsin.
Go Packers.
Go Packers. So it was a 60-degree day. It was our first one of the year. And in Wisconsin, when we don't have the shelter at home or quarantine, it's usually the first day that everybody goes out and has barbecues and drinks beers and have those types of activities. So in essence, I was able to be outside for a little bit and barbecue and have a beer. So exciting. But I'm from Wisconsin.
Nice. Good to get out a wee bit, even if it's just in the garden.
Right. It's been hot here.
Could have been trapped in the house.
Yeah, in California, it's actually been pretty hot here the last couple days. I had to run my AC for last few hours before this broadcast. Otherwise, I'd have been in here sweating and baking. So
show off.
Well, it was nice and sunny here today in Scotland. We had one sunny day.
There you go. It's that one day when the girls get out in their Daisy Dukes. Right on, right on.
Yeah.
So
Sheena Easton.
There you go. All right. So
Yeah.
one of the reasons why Dan is here is to talk. We're going to be talking a little bit about $50 Million Bullet, Michael Funk, Eagle Nation, and we're going to be talking a little bit about what went down there. But I think before we get into that talk, I think I will go ahead and do a quick screen share for everybody. the $50 Million Bullet trailer so that you guys can see. There's a couple parts in it that are footage taken from body cams that I think you all will find fairly interesting. Before we get into the discussion. So, all right, here we go. And we do that. For the $50 Million Bullet. It's basically setting
Everybody
up
hear it?
the story that they're going to tell. From what I'm seeing, they're using live real footage from, the cameras on scene, essentially, a lot of it. Some of their footage that they took inside Eagle Nation. Very interesting. So, and it's basically, I think, laying out the main points of the story that they're looking to hit. And it's interesting. And there's a lot of interesting clips in it. So, all right, without further ado, here we go.
Okay, where are you at? 206 Main Street, 206 Main? Yeah. Okay, I was going to shoot it in here. You shooting it? He shot it, yes. Okay, where did he shoot? Who did he shoot? I'm in the basement. They just sent me a message to call the cops. I haven't been upstairs. Wait! Get out! Get out! Get out of the world right now! Back out! Back out! Don't go over here. How many? A lot. Hey, go through my helmet.
No, sit. Sit straight.
I'm good then. Let's go.
No, you're not good. We got
No,
enough
you're
guys
not
there.
good.
No, we don't. Have enough fucking guys.
Craig, you know you can't go back there right now.
You know you can't go back there right now.
Fucking 3 dudes or 4 dudes in there. I just saw the one.
2 orders.
There was nobody in there as a hostage. No, fuck that.
Hold on, it's closing the back door right now. If you fucking run out that back door, I'm gonna fucking unload on you.
I know, sir. This is him. One eye. More shots fired. He goes back in the alley. One down. Shots fired in the alley. One down.
Cover your head! I'm your brother, but you should not be here. Good, it's fine. You got shot in the head. Yeah, and I went and got checked out, and they said I'm fine. I said,
No, you were told twice.
Fine to go back.
You weren't fine.
They checked my eyes. I didn't go unconscious. They checked my eyes. They said I do not have. Dude, you got a huge fucking lump there. Yeah, I got shot in the fucking head. What do you expect? my point is, you ended up shooting somebody. I did. I already did. Shot someone? Yeah. Killed him, dude. Him and I killed him. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know that. My phone with me. Where is he now? Where's the dude? He backed him out. The gun's still up there. He had one right in the headlights for one of us. And you guys got a camera on right now? You're going the entire time. Okay.
He was hiding behind the truck, so it wasn't like a. My impression was a victim trying to run away. He was.
Okay, Steve, right. Which one is your shooter?
10-4 shooter still inside.
So there you have it, folks. $50 million bullet coming soon. Well, maybe not as soon as it was before COVID-19, folks, but you can see from that trailer, you heard me announcing some of the most important bits. You saw Hopper being ordered to stand down twice. And then when he gets to his commanding officer later, he lies to that guy and says he was cleared when he was told twice not to remain involved. So This seems to be a recurring theme with law enforcement in this area of Wisconsin, where they just think they can do whatever the hell they want and then tell whatever story they want.
They don't get training. Just to speak very frankly, there's really only one area in Wisconsin that has a lot of capital crimes. The city of Milwaukee is a city of about, the city proper is just under 1 million, but the greater metropolitan area is probably 1.5, 2 million. So it's a big city. Mm-hmm. They have crime. These smaller towns like Neenah, like Manitowoc, don't have violent crime that often. So these men don't get the training as they should get. They should be able to have training year-round in any situation. There should be accountability for their actions, and a lot of times there isn't.
Right.
And a lot of times it's always like really made me exceptionally mad was when they're researching something and they're trying to find out if the person was not 100% correct in their actions, they'll give them 2 weeks paid leave. Well, in my parlance, that's called a vacation.
Right.
You know, I don't understand that. There has to be better training. There has to be more accountability. There has to be, I don't understand it on so many levels. If you thought you would neutralize the situation by shooting at somebody that you assumed was the hostage taker and not the hostage, wouldn't that give you all the impetus then with your SWAT and your tanks then to come into the building to try to save the people, get them out as soon as possible? I just don't understand that. If they thought that they had neutralized the hostage taker who had run out and it was ML, it was one of the hostages. I don't understand that. I don't understand the fact that he was on the sidewalk for up to 45 minutes bleeding to death. There's so many unanswered questions, but I seriously think it comes down to training and preparation. I just, there has to be better training, better preparation.
Yeah, definitely. There's something needs to change. I agree. I appreciate what you mean that these guys probably didn't have a whole lot of, experience with these types of situations. But then again, a SWAT team is supposed to train and is supposed to be a little bit on a little higher level than, normal Deputy Dudley. But
Erekose too, and Sharon, you guys have to realize there's a difference between, even as an athlete, when I was training for competitions, the practice games and the practice competitions were nothing like the real competition on the field. Mm-hmm. They get these, situations that they train through that are virtual situations in essence, but they never get the real life training where in the city of Milwaukee or city of Chicago, in the big cities that are near Wisconsin or in Wisconsin, they get real life training every day, on a daily basis.
Right.
These small towns, Neenah's 25,000, Manitowoc's about 40,000. They don't get that opportunity, and crime rates are low in these areas. I mean, this is how bad it is when you're in Wisconsin and you get pulled over for going 8 miles over the speed limit. It's just not usually one squad car. It's 4 squad cars.
Right.
And I'm like, guys, holy crap. You pull over a jaywalker, a 14-year-old jaywalker, and you guys have 2-3 squad cars. There's something wrong with that. They have to, it's just, it's an overkill on the stupid situations, and it's an underkill and then an overkill on the big situations. So,
absolutely.
So, is it open for questions at all, Erekose?
Yeah.
Well, I've got one for Dan. I'm kind of curious, as far from an acting standpoint, when you're acting in a movie that's just say a written role versus acting in a role that is true life, true crime, however you want to say it, but you're reenacting a real life scenario. Is it different for you?
You know, it's what you want to do in any role that you help create, because first of all, the writer creates that role, but the writer didn't create this role. This was real life that created the role of, you know, nature. God created ML. And so it's based on a true person and a true set of circumstances. It's different because you have a lot more leeway when you're doing a film where the character is the construct of the writer. When you're actually talking to family members who knew ML and grew up with him and knew his foibles and his idiosyncrasies and his pros and his cons, that you want to do that justice. You want to take his life and literally put it on a pedestal, warts and all. And you want to be more truthful with it. When I'm doing a film where the character is a make-believe construct, I have a lot of leeway to create it as much or as little as I want. And according to the director's directives, if I'm within those parameters, everything is okay. But I have to stay true to the story, and number one, I have to stay true to ML to get the story across. That's a great question.
Sure. Let's see. We have
and a great answer.
Yeah, it was.
Credit where credit's due.
Well, as he was talking, I was just sitting there thinking about that. You know, the difference of, you know, never been in acting whatsoever, but you know, just wanting to know, is there a difference in that? I mean, it kind of made sense in my head that there might be.
Yeah, and it still comes across too as, you know, as an actor, it still has to come from within the actor. It can never come from without, you know, from other things. But what you do is you do your research, you talk to the people that loved him, talk to the people that didn't always like him. And I was able to talk to some people who said great things about him at Eagle Nation. We had a couple parties there and had a good time. And then they'd pull me aside and go, I got to tell you about ML. One time he screamed at me. He threw a fucking wrench at me. I think it hit my head. I'm like, what? I'm like, serious? Like, was it a big wrench? He goes, oh yeah. It might have knocked me out. I'm like, what? You know, just so I heard.
Did you ask him what he did wrong?
You know, stories about him, but you just want to do him justice and do the truth, and that's all you can do as an actor.
Right.
That was funny what Jamie said there. He said it too quiet there. Jamie said something just as you were finishing there, Dan.
Did you ask the guy what he did wrong to get
a
wrench thrown at?
He said,
because I wanted to know. That's why I said, "Going to ask him."
Yeah, he basically was saying that he was, you know, part of Eagle Nation, and he was working on not a carburetor, but it was working on a motorcycle. And he said, I came in. He goes, in his defense, he said, I came in, I was tired and hungover, and I was ornery, and I was messing up. So to his defense, he probably had a right to do that. And then I said, well, holy crap. And he goes, well, I don't think he was really aiming for my head. And I'm like, okay. But I mean, that's the thing too. You have to present the character in all of its truthful manner. And I'm not going to ever gloss over anyone's idiosyncrasies or negative parts, because, you know, God designed us and we all have our pros and cons, and you got to showcase that.
Right. I remember you said in our first couple interviews, you would always say warts and all. So,
yeah.
So,
well, just like you had said earlier, you got to stay true to the good and bad, especially if you're doing, you know, a documentary or, you know, a reenactment of his life. You gotta see the bad too, because we're not all saints.
No, hell no. And that's the beautiful thing about it, is once you start, I think, delving into the backstory of the $50 million bullet, delving into his backstory, delving into also the Neenah Police Department, they're not saints either. Now, granted, most of those guys are pretty cool, amazing guys. Most of them are amazingly good police officers. But it doesn't take much to ruin an, you know, only one or two apples make the whole, you know, apple barrel bad, you know, as my drunk grandfather used to say.
Or at least or at
No,
least
he wasn't drunk,
taint.
actually.
Create a taint or a suspicion, right?
Yeah.
The first discussion, I think, after Erekose had been out there, you know, he did a live about it, and one of the biggest things that, and I've got a brother that's law enforcement, and we've always said, many in this group have said, we all know that there's great law enforcement officers out there, but there's some bad ones.
Yeah.
The biggest problem that I had when first watching the case was the fact that the officer that shot ML was celebrating, and that really struck me as
Yeah. You have a commanding officer telling you twice to stand down. And I told this the last interview with Erekose. I said very quickly, I said, my youngest brother is also a deputy up in Brown County in Green Bay, home of the Green Bay Packers. And so I come from people that were that were lawgivers and lawbreakers. Actually, a lot, actually. But having said that, it's just so vitally important, you know, to get that across, and to tell people that the vast majority of police officers are very good, and but they have that thin blue line. They protect each other. There's a brotherhood that needs to be more transparent. You have to have that transparency. You have to, you know, show people when you mess up and someone loses their life, there has to be an accountability. There has to be a comeuppance of some sort, right. You know, just like if you created a lawnmower and the lawnmower, you know, blade zipped out and killed somebody, you'd be legally responsible for that. It's, you know, I you know, the training has to be better, and there has to be more accountability.
Right. And then there's obviously, I guess, wrap up on the point of, you know, there's also the point where these officers got into the press after Michael was shot, and they were telling people that he had been told to drop his weapon or put his hands up prior to being shot. And you guys saw that video.
Yeah.
You clearly heard him yell it like 2 or 3 seconds after he fired 19 bullets into the gentleman.
Yeah.
And so it's so ridiculously, like, you know, out of bounds that they would even try to suggest that it was said before.
Yeah.
And it's another one of the things that's so infuriating about this, you know.
Even just that wee bit in the clip in and of itself, without anybody else saying stupid remarks after the fact, you know what I mean? Even just that, the fact they said that after the fact, you know, it just makes it even worse that they're making, you know, that they're putting the statement out that was, you know.
Sharon, another thing too, that when you bring this up, the gentleman who created this is considered the biggest post-production god, little g, in the history of Hollywood. His name is Jeff Holm. And Jeff Holm has worked post-production on Titanic, Spider-Man, Age of Ultron, Fifth Element, Kung Fu Panda, the Avatar. The list goes on and on and on and on and on and on. $20 billion of the post-production. He looked through hundreds of hours of the cam footage from the Nina PD, and that was available to the public here. Hundreds of hours to winnow it down. He said, but there's so many damning pieces in that where he just was shocked. But you know, and that's the thing too. If you shoot somebody, unless you're shooting somebody who's an incredibly horrible person that's done incredibly horrible things, I'd high five. If Hitler, if it was 1944 and I was a sharpshooter and I got Hitler, I'd be high-fiving and drinking German beer, you know. But
or
the
something
thing
with
is, when
bomb
you don't,
detonators or something like that, something where they need to get in quick and
but the thing is, when you're celebrating and you don't even know who you shot, and chances are you know it's not the hostage taker, you don't talk about it. You show reverence to it. And if you have a brain injury, like I said this also too with Erekose, my youngest brother played football, and my youngest brother had opportunities to play in the NFL and NFL Europe and all over. But he had some injuries once in a while. And the moment he got hit in the head and had a slight trauma, they'd pull him out and say, "Oh yeah, you lost your tryout. Bye." Doctors look at him. That's football. That's not.
And he's
real
not
life.
walking about with guns. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not. It's not. This is a slight concussion. They pull him out and go, "Hey, you lost your tryout. See ya. Bye." This is real life. This is somebody taking a shot to the head, a bullet to the head.
Yeah.
For him to not listen to his commanding officer, and 2 times saying it, and then again lying, saying, "Oh, they told me I was okay." No, they didn't. They told you to stand down. You know, and it's egregious and it's wrong on many levels. And as long as the truth is being told and the truth is equal, truth doesn't know right from wrong, but the truth is right, and the truth is just, but the truth is always correct. And and that's the one thing that we're going to get across from it, talking to the police officers, talking to the hostages, talking to everybody involved. So it's a well-rounded approach to it, because the truth is there.
Right on. Oh, well.
There's a couple of questions here.
Okay, go ahead.
I don't know if Dan saw them, but one of them was, where's Debbie's? Does the cop who shot him know about this film being made as one? And the other one is, does the local PD and other bigwigs know that this is coming? Kind of the same question.
Yeah. Yes. David Starr had an opportunity to talk to the PD and to talk to the gentleman who was the first shooter. And I guess it was a great conversation. I wasn't privy to it, but for me, there's this local bar. I live like right next to Nina. I live in a city called Appleton, and Nina is, a mile away. And there's this famous bar in Appleton called Cleo's, and one of the bartender's husbands is a police officer in Appleton. Well, his best friend is that gentleman, and it's like, yeah. And so I walk into Cleo's and just want to have a couple of drinks after a meeting, and she's all like, had death, in her eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And I told her specifically, I said, "Shanna, all we're going to do is tell the truth. And no one should ever be afraid of the truth unless they've done something wrong." I said,
good way to put it.
Yeah. So they do understand that. Did I hear a beer open?
You did. Don't show Michael Kelly, because he'll start blubbing. But
that's a Wisconsin beer. That's a Wisconsin beer.
Yeah, it is.
Got a couple more here.
1884. Anyway.
Couple more here. One of them is how you came up with the idea on the comedy stated in Ed Glynn, the musical.
Ed Gein.
Ed Gein. Sorry.
Yeah. It's again, Ed Gein is from Wisconsin. The movie Psycho is based after Ed Gein, that Alfred Hitchcock created in 1960. There have been about 20 different films that are loosely based on, either based completely or loosely based on Ed Gein. Silence of the Lambs is one of them. And he's a world famous guy, lived in the 1950s, was a murderer, a necrophiliac, a cannibal. He would dance with these corpses and just very macabre things. But actually, what's weird about Wisconsin, again, my grandfather knew the arresting sheriff who arrested Ed in 1957. So I grew up as a little kid, my grandfather and my dad telling me these stories about Ed Gein. Where I'm from, it's about 15 miles from where he was born and raised, called Plainfield, Wisconsin. And I thought, wouldn't it be funny if you did a musical on a serial killer, but did it so that people understood who he was? And the first time I pitched it, people were like, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, he was physically abused by his dad and sexually abused by his mom. that's a recipe for disaster right there. I wanted to show almost like a psychological treatise of why people become what they become. And sometimes it's because of their parents were horrible to them. So I wanted to showcase that. I didn't want to glorify his actions. I didn't want to demean the victims. I just wanted to showcase the fact that this was a sick individual who was sick because his parents were sick.
Right.
And it did really well. And it's crazy. It's still doing well 10 years later.
Right on, right on.
I forgot to mention Ed Gein's home decorating style as well. When you were saying about his necrophile, and because you remember he did all sorts of horrible lampshades and all sorts of nut bowls and
He made women like their carcass. He made furniture and lampshades, and it's so heinous and so crazy that I thought a musical, would at least give people an opportunity to look at it without all the gore, too.
Macabre.
So you missed out on the stage props. You could have had great stage props. Yeah.
Well, right on. Well, I want to thank you for being here, Dan. I'm glad we got to go ahead and mention Eagle Nation a little bit here during MaM-a-Thon and give $50 Million Bullet a little bit of a shout during MaM-a-Thon. So thank you for being here.
Yeah, and again, thank you guys for all the work that you guys do to shine a very harsh light on the truth is so needed. You as part of the media and getting the truth out is so damn important as we go further, that I'm proud of you guys and thank you for shining a harsh light on the truth.
Absolutely.
And so thank you guys.
Alrighty, thank you, Dan, and look forward to seeing you play Michael Funk. And best of luck to you.
Okay, guys, see you later.
See ya. Love the mug, man.
Thanks, Dan. Take care.
Good night, you guys.
Bye.
See ya. Bye.
It better be available in Scotland.
All right, let's see here.
That's Williamson. Somebody's laughing at William.
Let's see. So we need Jeff to make his way in. All right. Well, let's see. All right. Hello, Rule. Hello, Magilla.
Hi. Erekose. Sharon. Hi, Magilla.
How you guys
Hello.
doing?
Hello.
Hi, Jamie.
Hey, Rule. How you doing, bud?
Doing fine. A little bit late.
You didn't fall asleep backstage?
No. It's
You're
actually
okay.
it's 3 a.m., but I'm prepared.
Well, I'm 2 a.m. here.
I got my Coke, so.
Oh, good.
Careful, you don't want to snort that too fast. It starts to burn a little bit.
Yeah, but because of the bubbles.
Yeah.
We're gonna have Jeff too, or?
So I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm alerting him right now.
Okay, he was in the canine room.
Yeah.
Magilla likes canines.
Or the doghouse. Was he in the doghouse?
All right.
It's a nice doghouse.
Link.
All right, I got to stop thinking about the pandemic.
Let's see here.
Well, I tell you what, this MaM-a-Thon was a good way to forget about it. I mean, 48 hours of very minimal talk about it, mostly case related, was a nice reprieve.
Right.
Sorry I brought it up.
Well, hey, look, folks,
no, quite all right.
We're not gonna get into the topic, but that's something that streaming like events like this one are good for for times like this, because it allows people to get together, show their support for things without having to actually physically gather together. And so it allows people to get together and show their support and do all that. And it's, using this modern technology, and we can't, the the wonderful thing about virtual rooms on our computers is that we can't pass nasty little bugs to each other. So that's one good thing about events like this one.
People do get viruses on their computers, though.
The software gets viruses. But,
yeah.
I've never felt an organic glitch yet. So I'm gonna Anyways, all right. So we are, I think, waiting on Mr. Jeff.
Yeah. Rula and I were talking quite a bit, so the link to get in might be pretty stale.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Maybe repost it.
Resend it to him. There you are.
Yeah, it's back a lot of screens.
No, that's fine. I'll put a new one. So, folks, if you've got any questions right now that you would like to ask Jeff, the dog handler, who, Jeff and Zoe, who you guys saw on my channel last weekend, if you've got any particular questions, particularly after this weekend, that you want to ask, if there's anything you want to maybe clarify, I think McGilla's got a few things he wants to ask and talk about. So, but keep those in mind. And when we're ready for questions, be ready with the questions, because Jeff is fully ready to answer a Q&A today. So,
well, I'm curious. Is he Search Canine Utah?
Yes.
Okay. I was talking with him last night on a little bit on Millbillies Live with Braun. They were on last night. I didn't know for sure, but I assumed it was. So
right. Yeah, that's him. All right, let's see here. Not there.
Crockett wants to talk transfer DNA.
Transfer DNA?
Yeah, and that subject's come up a lot, actually, from what I've seen. People wondering, like, if somebody had sat in their car, if there was transfer DNA. Don't use that as a specific, but or like shoes or the cats. I've heard that come up a lot.
Yeah. We talked about that extensively yesterday, so that is an interesting thing. We had a really good talk yesterday in private, though. So
hold on a second.
But it's scent transfer. It's not really DNA.
Well, and the other thing that was brought up, I remember Travis last night was talking about this, about your dog being, was it your dog that can track scents 20 feet underwater?
That's Jeff's dog. My dog is very good at tracking liver scents.
McGilla's dog is good at tracking the
liver trees.
Or right? Or no, anyway.
My Bobby's quite good at finding things. My wee dog, so yes.
All right.
It's a Springer Spaniel, so they're good for sniffing. Not that I'll call him a sniffer dog.
Okay, he's trying to get in. It was blocking him. So,
what, do we have a limit on how many can get in?
6.
I do. I do. And I'm gonna have Scooby coming in right now as well. So I'm gonna put you backstage for the moment, Sharon, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, sure.
You can put me back if you need to. I don't mind. Whatever works for you.
Any liquor back there?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep. Sharon will be getting tipsy back there. Steaming.
I know.
Get the Jameson out.
All right. Good. So, all right.
We do have one question that came up from T1 already. Do you have Jeff in yet or no?
Not yet. Let's see here. He said had to restart computer issues. Sorry. So he's rebooting his computer at the moment. So we'll have to give him a minute.
Well, and maybe Magilla can answer.
So right now, Magilla, yeah.
Henbury. So there's two questions. Henbury's one. He says it's skin cells that the dogs are chasing. Correct?
The scent dogs, yes.
Okay.
Okay. No. I would rather let Jeff answer that, but it's actually volatile organic compounds from the decomposition of skin cells.
That's a cadaver dog, yes.
No, even scent dogs.
And then T1 had asked the question, what's the longest period of a time that had passed on a case that a canine has still got a successful hit on that lead to a substantial evidence? Which that might be for Jeff as well.
Yeah, Jeff's he's the hands-on expert, and he's also he's like a 21st century technology canine handler. So a lot of things weren't really going on in 2005 that are going on now. So his dog is super exceptional. So
well, yeah, she certainly is. It was she was able to detect something that was 20 feet underwater from a boat, and then she was able to detect something that was 30 feet underwater from the shore, and it was pretty wild. That's pretty. It's the prowess, I guess. What I'm trying to say is pretty amazing for Zoe.
Yeah, and she does both tracking and human remains detection and general search and rescue. So I think she's much smarter than an average bloodhound.
Mm-hmm.
She's also one of these designer Belgian breeds that were developed just for working dogs.
Right. Like Belgian Malinois?
It's not a Malinois, but he said it's the long-haired version of it.
It's a long-haired version of it, right? That's what he said.
And I think it begins with a V, but
so anything regarding Louvre tracks that you want to cover at all, Magilla, while we're waiting?
Are we online?
We're live, yeah. We've been live.
Oh, I thought we were still just backstage waiting.
Nah, yeah.
I'm sorry. Okay, so yesterday I had a 4-hour meeting with Jeff, and one of the interesting things was we went over my theory of scent article contamination.
Yes.
And Jeff doesn't think that's likely. So what he thinks is more likely is that Sarah Fauske, rather than being an expert handler as she was presented as, was actually a fairly bad handler and was confusing Loof. So when Loof when on track 3, which is the first one that goes from the van up to Cuss Road cul-de-sac, when Loof first went to the door of the house and was denied to go in, Sarah pulls her off the door and then instructs her to sort of go in a different direction, which is like a casting.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Jeff thought that what was likely was Loof took that as a new command that Loof wasn't tracking the scent anymore, that Loof was just supposed to find the strongest trail in that direction.
Right.
If that's the case, then Loof could have been following virtually anybody's trail, but welcome.
Hello, Jeff.
Hey, sorry about that. Had to restart my computer. Had a little issue.
No worries. It happens.
Technical problems.
Sometimes those damn electronics lock up.
Oh, I know.
I'm constantly doing it for AV receivers and cable boxes out in the field myself, but
yep, I did the old IT trick, turn it on, turn it off.
Right. Yeah, so you don't have an ID 10T problem. So there you go. Anyways, welcome, Jeff. Good to see you.
Good seeing you.
So obviously we've got some questions. A lot of people. Well, I'll tell you what. There's been variations on the same question here, so I'll just ask it.
All right.
People are saying, do you think that there would be like any kind of value potentially to go sniff around Avery salvage yard, say, in the present day?
You know, yeah, I mean, I would. Hold on, I'm hearing myself.
I think you got your YouTube window. You got to mute it. There you go. Oh, you still got an echo. I think you got the YouTube window still on.
There we go. There we go. Okay, sorry about that. More technical difficulties. So one of the issues is with cremains, rain is going to wash them away. It's going to make it into a big, huge puddle of cremains, which would be like grass growing up. It'll be spread out through the area. Now, would a dog be able to go over and go, hey, look, yeah, something's right here. Now, would it be strong enough for the dog to say, there's the source, I'm going to give a trained final response,
right.
Boom, there it is. It's up in the air on how much material is actually left. But if we get lucky and there's a sliver of a bone or anything like that, a dog will pick it up.
So let me ask you then, a bone itself will emit some of those VOCs?
Oh, absolutely. So I have a lot of the training aids that I use for human remains. They're all a little different. So they come from different parts of the body. They're different substances. I have a little can that I have that has wrist bones. So there's a bunch of little wrist bones that are in your wrist.
Oh.
And they're in a metal can. It's like a pepper shaker. And they're about 70 years old. They came from India.
Oh, wow.
And my dog and all the other cadaver dogs that are trained on bone hit on that no problem at all. So
wow.
I went through a school one time and there was a finger that was wired into a tree, and the dogs found it no problem at all.
Oh, wow. Wired into a tree?
Yeah, just an old, like, mummified little finger that was stuck up in a tree.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the dogs found it no problem.
Huh.
They're pretty amazing.
So even when things dry out, I mean, that's what mummified essentially means.
Uh-huh.
Does it get more difficult?
I mean, there's a bunch of different stages of decomp, and there's some that are like very, very smelly. And so when we're in that, smelly purge and kind of a setting or whatnot, you can smell it. I mean, there's sometimes you don't even need a dog to go, there's the 10th person over, so, but to identify it between a deer being dead and a human being dead, I mean, there is a difference that you can smell. Humans can smell the difference, but if you've had enough exposure to both, but the dog will be able to find that. So,
okay. All right. Let's see. Any other questions?
So yeah, back to your question: would there be value in sending another cadaver dog out there? Yeah, if the area was kept sterile, there's not a bunch of crowd of people walking around, and a dog was able to go through methodically and do a grid search through that area, and then document each little area and stuff, I do believe that would have value. If there are cremains on there, or if there's body parts, bones or whatnot, then a cadaver dog should find that.
But if you would send a scent dog, would it also be possible, or is that too long ago?
No, too long ago. So what a scent dog does, let's talk about the different kinds of dogs real quick.
Sure.
So you have like an area scent dog. And so what happens is this dog is sent out into the wild with no specific person scent to look for. And the dog is just looking for somebody that's out there. It's kind of like a lost person. We don't know who it is, but we just know someone's out there. So the dog is let go, and it ranges and roams as the handler walks around and does a grid pattern. The dog is running back and forth, and until it finds somebody. And so with that trained final response, either the dog would stay and bark to alert the handler to come, to where the dog's at. Or the dog would do what's called a recall refine, where the dog would go up to the person and go, "Hey, you're cool," and then turn around and go find the handler, jump on the handler, or show the handler, "Hey, look, hey, there, follow me," and then go all the way back to where the person was and re-find the victim, and then show the handler where the suspect or the victim's at. So. Right. So that's an air scent dog that's just out there generally looking around for air scent. Now there's a different kind of an air scent dog or a different method of using the air scent dog where it's called scent discrimination. And that's when the dog is given a specific scent and said, go search for this scent in this area out there. So the dog will ignore like people walking around looking for the people or whatnot, looking for that specific scent. And so the dogs usually will play with the wind, and they'll go downwind and start working the wind back and forth, trying to find that scent cone coming from that person that they've identified from the scent article that was presented to them, to say, go find this. And then they would do the same exact thing, go to the person, bark, or go to the person, do a recall refine, and take the handler to that person. So that's the a scent discrimination type area search. And then
this was done with Teresa's shoe in this case.
Yep. And that's where the negatives were also done too, where they would give the dog the scent and say, go look in the area. And then the dog would go around and go, yeah, there's nobody here. This person's not here. So, and throw a negative. And then that's a way to clear an area to say that, this person's not here, and no, the person didn't come through here. Then you have tracking dogs. So there's a couple different ways where tracking dogs work, where you have footstep tracking, or some people call it actual tracking. It's based on a Schutzen method where the dog's nose is on the ground and it's going footstep to footstep to footstep to footstep. It's a very slow method of tracking, and it's mostly ground scent that dog is going off of, and also disturbed ground, the footprints, making something move in the dirt, disturbing that soil. That all kind of comes into play with that. And then you get trailing dogs that tend to have their nose a little higher. They're using the air scent from the raft particles of skin cells that come off of your body just as you sit there. Millions are just falling off. And each one of them smells like you. And it's all based on your diet, your DNA, your genetics, all this good stuff. Makes your little raft particle smell different than everybody else's. And so the dog is introduced to that scent and said, go find this. And then it's going to hold its head up and it's going to go fast and try to find that person as fast as possible. And so it'll sometimes travel a little downwind of where the person actually walked, maybe a couple feet depending on the wind, or it could be 10 feet if it's a strong wind, blowing those raft particles over before they land on the ground. And the ones that are still in the air, if it's pretty still wind. And then that dog will beeline using all that to the person. And that's kind of what my dog does. My dog does track through drive, which that kind of comes more from the police world, where the dog is using ground scent, air scent, everything it can to move as fast as it can to track that person down. And that really helps us find people quicker and not lollygag around. So then you have cadaver dogs. And cadaver dogs are trained specifically to find the odor of decomposition related to a human death, and so it's introduced. Properly trained cadaver dog uses human source to teach the dog the approximate 500 different volatile organic compounds that are released from a body as it decomps. And those smells don't just all come out at once. It's more of a process. And as the process goes along, different smells are coming on, different parts of the decomposition process. So a dog that is properly trained has been introduced to human source, that's been through all those different decomp phases, so that it understands that this smell, oh, that's a human that's dead, or a decomping human that we're looking for. But yet, a month later, it's all dried out and it's in a mummification kind of a thing. It needs to be introduced to that so it can go, oh, hey, that's still a human, although it smells different. So that having a broad introduction for your dog, and it's kind of like creating a card file or a Rolodex that's 500 pages long, and each one of them has a different smell, but it's all in the same Rolodex that says this is a dead person, and we need to find that. Now, people who train on pigs, they really don't smell like a dead person. We used to think they did because there's some things that they can be used for, medically, but in reality, they don't share that many of like VOCs. Chicken breasts, dead chickens, share more than a pig does. So it's actually better to train with a chicken breast than it is to train off of a piece of a pig. So having the human, the experience to have your dog introduced to the human sources makes the dog actually more of a legitimate cadaver dog. It's not just looking for something that kind of smells like something that I trained on. It's actually going, oh, I know what a human bone smells like. I know what a deer bone smells like, but I'm not going to even look at that because I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for a human bone. So there's a lot of these little things that make the dogs different. And then we have some issues where people are like, yeah, the dog was tracking the cadaver through the whatever. Somebody was carrying a dead person. Now, could VOCs come off of a dead person or a dead person parts being carried? It could. But in reality, a dog that is being run as a cadaver dog is being run as a scent discrimination area search dog. So it's just like looking for a specific person. This is looking for a specific type of person, which is a dead one. So in the VOCs coming from the body, the dog knows that. So it doesn't need to smell them and go find this dead person. It needs to go, this is the command for finding one of those 500 smells that relate to a dead person. And then they give the command, and then the dog goes to find that. So that's kind of how. Go ahead.
Question for Jeff from somebody. Have you taken any of your dogs to any of the body farms?
Yes.
For training?
Absolutely. So I've been with Zoe. Zoe's my canine partner who does all the work. I just hold on to the leash. Not really, but so we've been to the body farm at the Forensic Anthropology Center of Texas University down in San Marcos, Texas, and that's the largest body farm in the world. Quite a few acres of various levels of decomp, different bodies, doing different things. They've got burnt bodies. They've got ones that are really really fresh that he just took out of the freezer and laid on the ground for us. They got ones that were like an articulated skeleton, which means that vultures and other scavengers have removed most all of the material from the body except for the sinew, cartilage, and then the bones, of course. And it looks like a red skeleton. We had one of those last time. So last October, I went to the standard course, and then in March of this year, we went to the advanced course down there again. So we've been there twice. It was a great experience. There's a guy down there named Ben Alexander. I can't, throw his name out and give him, credit for training everybody up the way he does. I mean, he's put a lot of effort into creating that. He's a doctor for the, Texas University down there, and he heads this program to allow dogs to come into a special area of the body farm and do our training, so that we as search and rescue people can go out and help, return people to their loved ones. So.
This next question is actually in reference to search and rescue. Well, at least the way I see. If you're looking for a missing person, would you want scent dogs first? Why call in a cadaver dog first and then do both? So
in a perfect scenario, we would have what's called a point last seen, which means that at 2:00 yesterday, Joey over here saw Bob standing right there, and that's the last we've seen of him. So now I have a place that I can start a tracking dog on that location with a scent article, hopefully from the family, and then figure out a direction of travel and try to get other dogs ahead of me. So I'm traveling along for miles at a pretty good pace, at a good firm walk. But if I know and I have a good direction of travel, I can take other teammates, throw them in their car, and have them drive a couple miles ahead and try doing the area scent discrimination search. So then they're going around just looking for the scent, and then they hit it. And these dogs are also tracking dogs, so then they can continue the track. And then I can jump in a car and get ahead of them, and we can leapfrog it that way if you have dogs that are good enough. But usually I just end up on the end of the line and we go for miles and miles and miles. Pretty cool. Did that answer the question? I kind of might have got off track a little bit.
I think so. There's been a few of them. They're literally flying in. A lot of people have questions on the dogs.
Okay. So they mentioned the cadaver dog. Hold on one second, because this ties into that answer. Why would you show up with a cadaver dog first? That's if you suspect foul play. If you suspect that somebody is dead, a cadaver dog is going to find that person a lot faster than an area scent dog. Because if an area scent dog has no idea what this dead person smells like, then it's less likely to find that source. So now here's a little thing. Now, if I have a dead body, and that body got there on its own volition, is there going to be live scent near the body? Sure, there's going to be skin particles and raft particles that the dog would identify as being live, but yet now it's got a dead source. So the source that normally they would say, hey, there's a live person, I'm going to go tell my handler and bring him back. Now they come up to this thing and go, well, that's not what I'm looking for because it smells completely different. Then you have a dog issue there where you have a dog trying to do something it's not trained to do. So having a cadaver dog running around out there, it's a pretty good thing. But would you do that initially in a search? Depending on how many days the person has been gone, the weather, the environment, if it's kind of like, they've been gone 3 days and it's been, below zero for 3 nights in a row, they're not going to survive that usually. So cadaver dog is going to be a good idea for that. But now if it's the middle of summer and it's the next day or the same day, you're going to want a live find dog because hopefully the dog will be looking for a live person. It'll be a live recovery. Now, are we talking about different dogs here? Or are we talking about dogs that are trained to do different things? And so, like my dog can do area, but she doesn't really, that's not her thing. Her thing is either cadaver or tracking. And so if I send her for cadaver and then she comes across a person that looks like, hey, look, I found somebody, would she come back and tell me? Most likely. Just like she would do with a cadaver, but that's not what she's going to look for. So I can't bet that she's gonna do that. So if I was gonna look for a specific person out there in the wilderness, I would bring a buddy of mine who has a better dog for doing area, and rely on that dog to find the live person as I'm trying to track it. And then when it becomes an issue where we think the person's deceased, and then we might have all these VOCs up in the air. Then we switch over. I give a different command to the dog. The dog is now free to roam and is now looking for the VOCs from a dead person. Hopefully that answered the question. So is it weird that they did that? Yeah, a little bit, but I can understand their thinking. So
all right, Jamie, I'm going to leave
if you think there's a good chance that the person is dead, then you would send in cadaver dogs first. And if you think there's a good chance the person is still alive, you do it the other way around. So in this case,
5 days.
We think the police thought she was dead. Yeah.
So that makes sense.
So, okay, Jamie, I'm going to leave you here for a few minutes to give Jeff the questions. I got to step away for a moment. I'll be right back.
I had a question. Jeff, I actually have located one of Brutus's certification documents.
Okay.
You've described the type of cadaver or human remains detection training that Zoe's gone through. And what you described sounds just like extremely more rigorous than what I'm seeing in these documents. Do you still have the Facebook feed available?
Yeah.
Okay, I think I just put the link to the document in there.
Okay.
This was entered at trial. It says Brutus 2005 evaluation and certification.
Okay, I'm looking at it now.
Now, Brutus did identify human remains. We think it's possible it didn't happen in the John DeBurn barrels. And Brutus did alert at the burial site. So he seemed to find cremains. But like you're talking about training on, I don't know, 20 different forms of human remains and in lots of different scenarios.
Yep.
And then I look at this Great Lakes search and rescue document, and it looks like they did say he had 6,000 hours of training, but
yeah, I don't know where they're getting that. That's kind of I mean, I could sit there and look at a calendar and go, yeah, I train an hour a day, 365 days. I mean, yeah, that's kind of a too rounded of a number for me to believe that.
Yeah, well, 2,000 hours is the typical work year. So
yeah,
that would be 3 full work years. 50 weeks, 40 hours a week. So,
but is that dog training for 40, 50 hours a week? No, it's probably training maybe an hour or two a day, if that. And then probably has one day that's got maybe a 6-hour day of training, 6-8 hours. So.
Right. So that would take you 15 years to develop 6,000 hours of training.
Yep.
I think the 6,000 hours of training sounds very suspicious.
Oh, yeah.
And then when we look at this form, it's like the entire certification was a 1-page form with 3 tests on it. Right.
And so looking at that, on the very first line, we got the orientation descent test. They're using boxes. They do 3 boxes, and it looks like they put like source in one of the boxes, and the dog found it. So no big deal.
Excuse me. Erekose, can you actually put the document up for the audience?
He went out for a quick break here. You have to give him a couple minutes.
Did he give anybody the con?
No. I think he actually gave Jamie the con. But
no, that's just for questions. But I
okay.
Magilla had some, so let him get them in too.
And then part 2 says wilderness cadaver area, 3 sources. Just basically says team worked area in an efficient manner. Yes. Dog exhibited trained behavior. Yes. Dog located all 3 sources. Yes. Handler recognizes dogs alerted sources. Yeah, it's pretty easy. This is just a test. And so the tests, the test forms usually are not very detailed like you would think. So for our test, we do 4 different areas. We do one that is blank. So your dog has got to go into an acre area and go search it and then turn around and tell you and have you recognize the dog's like, yeah, it's not here. Then we do one that is buried, one that is elevated, and one that's on the ground. And on the ground, it can be covered with rocks. So it's not just, hey, go find these sources. And one of the issues with this certification is it doesn't tell me if the sources were buried, elevated, what type of sources they were. I'm not sure if you've seen through his paperwork if the dog had been training on human remains or if it had been using like a avatar like a pig or anything like that.
Also, the certifying agency is actually the agency that Brutus's handler runs, which is a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's not hard to.
But this is 2005, of course.
Yeah, I mean, in having an internal thing like this, a lot of teams will use like a national standard like NASAR to run a test. And the problem with that is you have to have people on your team that are certified to be evaluators for NASAR. Then you got to pay to take the test. You got to pay for the card saying that you got it. So there's a lot of money involved. And then you got to be a member of it. So then there's a lot of money involved to throw at this organization that doesn't really do too much for us, at that level. They do other things real well, but so a lot of teams tend to go, okay, well, we're going to use a different standard, a higher standard than what NASAR does, and then we're going to do an in-house certification, which is not a bad thing, as long as we can see what their certification consists of. So
okay, and you were a police canine handler going back to 2003, was it? Or?
Yeah, that's when I started working with dogs. Yep.
Yeah, so you actually know this era of time, right? It would have been.
Oh yeah. It would have been acceptable back then too. So
yeah.
That doesn't raise my eyebrows at all.
I'm just saying you've seen how much the technology has evolved.
Yep.
Is what Zoe's doing? I mean, were people doing that back in 2005?
Yeah. Yeah.
All of that? Okay. So Brutus may have been extremely well trained, and this document doesn't really prove anything.
Yeah, and that's not training records. That's basically just a certification letter. I mean, for training records, what we do is we use like a book like this, which is a really good book that you can get off Amazon. But it's a pretty thick book, and then we document stuff like that where we got what happened throughout the day, all the different stuff we did, the tracks and everything. So we do that for every time that we train our dogs to keep a running record of that. And so if it was, asked for in court, they would go through and photocopy every single page of that. And so this is a pretty long book. So you start talking about having a 12-page CV for one dog. It's kind of like, yeah, but mine could probably be 100 pages if I wanted it to be.
Yeah,
but that's not it. It's not impressive to say it's 12 pages long, so I'm impressed. It's more like, what's the content? What are they doing? What are the sources are they using? And what variety are they doing? It's like, I just don't train my dog to find dry bones. I've got everything.
Also, I don't think we have any real questions about the cadaver dogs. In terms, I mean, they alerted in some places. It sounds like they could have given us more information, but we didn't get much else.
Yeah, I mean, the reports that they wrote, like I've talked to you in private about, I was a little bit, disturbed that there was no weather or environmental information on there. There should have been like a document where it lists, on the day that she went missing, all the weather that had happened between then and now. And then what is it now compared to when it was then? And like wind direction, wind speed, moisture, if it rained, snowed or whatnot, humidity, the barometric pressure, the changes throughout the stuff, that all affect, how high scent rises or whatnot. So a handler needs to know all that so they can go, okay, well, if the wind is blowing from the west and my dog keeps kind of going, hey, wanting to go that way, and then, I keep pulling him off or whatnot and going that way, maybe he was trying to tell me something was this direction and we need to go up there. So as the report indicates, well, my dog went over here and was excited. Well, I mean, if they said that the wind was coming from the west and the dog went over here and got excited, then maybe some scent is being deposited from, somewhere else from there. Because scent is a really weird thing. It's like smoke when it goes up, it kind of, eddies around and lays on things. And when the wind is pushing smoke, it'll go up over a building and then it'll travel for a while. Then it'll come down and pool. So that's the kind of stuff that you would look for when the dog is like, hey, look, something's going on here. And you're looking around going, well, there's no body laying here. So we got to figure this thing out. Where's the wind coming from? And where did it transport from? And how strong has the wind been blowing? Those are all just little factors that go into trying to figure out, what the dog's trying to tell you. So
excellent.
Okay.
All right.
Rich is back now, so.
Yeah.
One other thing is just there is this 12-page CV for Loof that is referred to and we have documents that refer to it.
Yeah, I've never seen it. So
I don't think we've ever gotten a copy of it. Is that true, dude?
I've never seen one. So, but I'm not one of the people who've been doing this for a while.
Yeah, Erekose is dude.
Dude?
I'm the dude. Yes, I'm sorry.
Dude.
Yes, that's me.
Yeah, he abides.
Sorry. Say that one more time, McGill. I was looking for questions.
Do you know if anybody's ever located a copy of the 12-page CV for Loof? Because Jeff said that he could give us a better interpretation of it than we probably could understand on our own.
I don't know, but other than maybe it might be in the new batch of documents that Millbilly and them released today. Maybe.
Yeah, Millbilly says he has it.
Oh, Millbilly, yeah.
Okay, so it is something that we've obtained. It's just
we lost Jeff again.
Maybe he's going to get. He might have Millbilly in another window or something.
There he is. Let's see. Oh, it says his devices are not connected, and there he is.
Hey.
Okay.
I tried to log in so I could comment, and it won't let me do that. So.
Oh, really?
Sorry. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. As long as you have your YouTube window muted, you can comment there. But
okay.
Just a pointer.
Oh, here we go. All right, there you go.
All right.
Yeah. Otherwise, we get bad feedback.
Yeah. So yes, Millbilly said he has it,
and he has got it from Bron. Bron has FOIA'd that thing, I guess, and she deserves all the credit.
Yes. So we'll. I don't know. Maybe they can send that over. I guess
the link maybe during this. If anybody out there knows where it is,
I can put it up.
I I think we had an important talk about. So I had the theory of the scent article contamination, and we had a good talk about that. And I think it's important to share that with the group too, Jeff. So my theory was that the scent article, of course, was at Teresa's house until the 7th of November, which was 7 days after she went missing. And 2 men were living in her house that whole time, and one of them didn't move in until the 3rd, but one of them lived there the whole time, and a cat. And the person who moved in on the 3rd, Ryan Hilligus, he moved directly into Teresa's living space. So I had the theory that one reason Loof might be tracking the perpetrator was that the scent article was contaminated. The scent article was 2 pairs of Teresa's shoes. Jeff is really the first hands-on expert we've had to examine this theory, and Jeff had some very good input and alternative explanations. So I'll turn it over to Jeff.
Okay, so Magilla was kind of on an interesting track and with his theory, and but what kind of leans me to say no, that's not a legitimate theory is the scent from him being in the house is not going to be so much that it's going to overpower the Teresa scent from inside the shoe, where they take it from the front of the insole, which is protected from things laying on it. So if he's walking by these shoes, his raft particles will lay on top of the shoe, and then that's why the officer took the shoe, took the insole out, took the tip of it, and made the scent articles that they used from that, which was protected from exposure to other people's raft particles. Now, another thing is if there were, happened to be Ryan's, scent raft particles on top of that shoe, it's going to be so much more Teresa's scent, so much stronger, that the dog would go, that's what I want, not that. So that kind of just lends me to say, no, I don't think that.
What if Teresa's scent is absent?
If it's absent, then the dog would just basically kind of give a negative and go, I don't see anything, I don't smell anything here. And I don't think from a used shoe that the scent would be absent. But if they did say take a clean gauze that was sanitized or whatnot out of a Ziploc bag, offer it to the dog and go, souk, go find this, or search, whatever term that you use to set your dog off, the dog would kind of smell it and kind of go, what? Okay. Because the process that we use is normally we'll take the dog and run it around in a circle. And I use the command of check, so the dog knows, I'm not on a walk here. I need to look around and start smelling and around the scent article. And then I give them the scent article in the middle where it's positioned at. And then now they have an idea of, I smelled that over there. And then they can follow that, and they already have an idea of which direction to go. So if you did that and then walked around and then gave them that scent article that was a blank, they'd probably just look around and go, yeah, there's really nothing for me to do. They'd start throwing negatives. They wouldn't go anywhere.
Okay, but that I meant that Teresa's scent isn't available, and there's a secondary scent on the article that's weaker than Teresa's. Is it possible that they could follow that?
If that insole of the shoe was sanitized and she had never worn those shoes, and his scent rat particles were on the heel of it and had made their way in there, it'd be very minute, but it's possible that the dog would then go, okay, I need to find that guy, and then go from there.
Okay, but really you think it's unlikely, right?
No, very unlikely, because if it was a used shoe that she had on, yeah, it's going to smell just like her. I mean, I use pillowcases, I use, socks, things like that, underwear, and those things smell so much like the person that people who handle it are not, just like somebody takes a pair of underwear and holds it up. Do you think their scent particles are falling on it? Of course. And then they put it in a bag and then they hand it to me. Now I've got the scent article with the person that I'm trying to find, all their scent on that, and then a little bit of contamination. The dog doesn't care about that. It's going for the biggest source. It's going to go for whoever put that biggest source on there.
Yeah, but Ryan was with it for say 96 hours or probably half of that.
Yeah,
that's not significant.
No, insignificant.
Okay, so you had an alternative. So we talked about the two tracks that really look like they are being done by somebody planting the RAV4 and planting the bone evidence. So we could talk about in more detail in a second.
Mm-hmm.
But you had an alternative explanation for why Luke may have found those tracks if they weren't left by Teresa.
Right. And so, so here's the deal. If a handler is not understanding their dog and the dog is throwing a negative and the handler is like going, come on, let's go, you know, and putting pressure on the dog might just go, okay, well, I'm going to start following the one that you're telling me to follow now. So if you've lost the scent and then you're like, come on. And so I use the term just for tracking, Such, find, you know, in German, Such. So, so as we go across, if I say Such when she is in a negative where she's like, I'm lost. Okay, I need to go back. So at that point, what we do is we do a circle around to see if she can pick up the track. And if not, then we will go back to the last known place that I knew that she was on track. And then I would restart her at that location on that track. And then she would, you know, go from there and go, oh, it went this way. And we went that way for some reason. But yeah, we're going the right way now. That's thrown a negative and going back to the point last, you know, of the actual track that you knew that the dog was on. And this kind of flips into the whole thing where I believe that canine handlers who are running a tracking or trailing dog should be also trained in visual tracking so that they can see footprints and also the spoor or the tracks that are left, you know, by the person that they're tracking, so they can say, oh yeah, there's the track right there. My dog is following to the right of it about 6 feet. So that means that it's been windy since the time that person walked through. So I know that when I make a left-hand corner, my dog is going to kind of want to just continue because now the scent went that way. And so I need to be careful about left-hand turns. So that kind of helps the handler understand that. But if the handler of Loof was near there or tracking and then threw a negative and the handler didn't pick it up and then was going, come on, let's go, that dog could have said, well, all right, then I'll just pick this one up and then start following somebody else.
Which is, I guess in the book, sometimes they call that casting. Is that true?
Well, casting around is when they're looking and they're kind of going out, trying to find the scent. That's, you're casting your dog out. Okay. It's just this is an actual problem when a dog gets reset on a different track, mid-track. Some dogs do that. You know, my dog, I've never had my dog do that. But I know we've had problems with other people where they'll come across a track that's 90 degrees to the track they're on, somebody completely different, but the track that crosses is newer. They'll just take the hot track and they'll follow the person that went through the earliest time instead of following the one that they're supposed to through scent discrimination that's older. They'll take the hotter, newer track, even though it's not the actual person that they're going for. And that comes down to the quality of the dog and the quality of the handler understanding the dog. So I wasn't there. I didn't see the dog react. It's hard for me to pass judgment, but what I can do is I can just say, well, these are possibilities that might have happened that created this outcome. So.
Yeah, and these are things you feel would be common for a younger, less experienced dog handler. Right?
Well, yeah, we all go through that at the very beginning. We're trying to read our dogs. So every dog is different. Every dog speaks to you differently through, you know, through the mannerisms of the dog, the height of the tail, the way that the ears are positioned, how the dog is hunched over or looking around. If the dog is looking to the left, just kind of doing this bit, the pressure the dog is putting on the leash. So I use a 30-foot leash and I hold it in a manner so that my dog is talking to me through the lead. And it can talk to me and I can talk to it through my leash. So if she's moving too fast and I think that she needs to slow down because I'm tripping over myself, I'll just vibrate the line, and then she'll realize that that's slow, and then she'll slow down a little bit, and then I keep a constant pressure on there, and so if she starts pulling hard, then I know that she's like, yes, there it is, I'm going, and we're off to the races. And so But if she lays back and now I get a little slack in the line, I then slow my body to the same pace as the dog so that I'm not running up on the dog. And then I know that she's probably going to start lifting her head, looking around a little bit more, because she might have either lost the scent or is having a little hard time figuring out if it turned right there. So, so it's all in reading the dog and being able to have a good relationship with the dog so you know what it's telling you. And it's hard. It takes a long time, a lot of work with the dog to understand it. And then sometimes they're just not there that day. We have to work the dog that we're in front of or that's in front of us. And, these are living creatures that have feelings and emotions, and it could have an off day. I've had days where Zoe just kind of is like, yeah, I'm going to find it for you, but I'm just going to be lazy about it. She still finds what we're looking for, but it's kind of like, then we get right back in and, start working on more drive issues. So, but every dog goes through that.
Great. I just sent a link to you, Erekose. Could you maybe show the scent dog reports, and we'll go through a few of the tracks together. Remember, we went through the track that showed the tracks away from the planted car, and then the ones where we think the bones were planted. So, is there any way we can show the audience? I think it's track 1. So, if you scroll forward.
Let me zoom in. Come on.
Well, first go to a different page, because I think when you zoom on the actual trap map, it'll be pretty big. And then this is track 1. Go back. So we'll talk about this one. So I talked with Jeff about what really caught my eye about these tracks and how it seemed to indicate that Loof was tracking the perpetrator. And I shared with Jeff the original Algoma article about Wilmer Sieber. Now, Wilbert lives in the house off of Jamba Creek Road that's actually encircled in the lower right corner of this track. You might want to try to show that.
Which corner? Down here?
Yeah, but Wilmer's house,
Right.
Right, so Wilmer's house is down there. Wilmer said he saw a car that fit the description of Teresa's RAV4 and a white Jeep drive past his house while he was working in the backyard during the day. And he felt like they were going like 40 miles an hour on that trail. And he saw them go in. He kept working in his backyard. And then about a half hour later, he saw the Jeep leave. He also said the Jeep was, of course, looked old and that there seemed to be some discoloration on the hood. But that the original paint seemed to be white. And this, of course, is the Legend of the White Jeep that most of us are very familiar with.
Right.
So I shared that with Jeff, and we went over this track. So one of the things that I think caught both Zellner's eyes and then later ours when we were given this report is this looks like people walking away from the RAV4 location and going to a location in the woods where these two tracks cross, and then driving out and turning north on Jamba Creek Road, or north-northeast. So if we can get the whole track on there. So we know that they actually started this track at the RAV4, and what Loof did was immediately turn and jump over this berm after being... Now, Sarah does show some proficiency in what you're describing. She calls it the circle you described. She calls a scent inventory, and then she gives find command, which you give it in German. Which I've heard that's a much better thing to do, so that the dog doesn't accidentally hear commands is to use a foreign language. Right, because just a normal conversation, I'm not going to say that word. And then make her go, "What? Are we working now?" And it just kind of keeps her turned off when it needs to be off and turned on when it needs to be on. But
actually, it sounds like Dutch if you say zoek.
A little bit, doesn't it?
Is what you say in Dutch if you want to find something.
Yep.
Well, he's given commands in Dutch, of course. A much preferred language to German.
Oh yes, much.
Yeah.
I should learn it in Belgian because she's a Belgian Taviran. So.
Yeah, they talk Dutch in Belgium. So.
I know.
Yeah. In a part of Belgium.
A good part.
Yeah. Well, Jerome would disagree with that, I think.
Yes, Germans disagree with most of the things.
Yeah.
Okay, so was there anything? So another thing that we'd identified is that Ryan Hilligus' search party had actually searched homes on Java Creek Road. He turned in a map describing a finding at one of the houses, and it looked to us like maybe this track actually was from multiple visits, and that one of the visits was to search that house, perhaps with a car parking in that little loop down there. If you had a scent tracking dog, what do you think these tracks would really mean? Would they be indicating maybe two people, or would it have to be a person making the track between the woods and the streets? Yeah, I mean, the tracks there's two different tracks, and Loof actually ends up coming back to where she started, but she takes slightly different paths, and they cross in this location where there's a path in the woods where there's actually a place where a car could park.
That's hard to say. It really is. I mean, we're just speculating based on lines drawn on a map. These days, what we do is we have GPS that connects to the dog's neck, and then I have a receiver on the other hand, and so I can see exactly where my good dog goes, and so it tracks me and it tracks my dog, and then those overlay on a map like this, and it shows actually where the dog goes the whole way. So we don't really understand or know how accurate these maps are, being hand drawn like this, but I mean it looks like somebody left the car, took a little hike down to the farmer's house, walked around down there, and came back. But as far as how that fits into a storyline of what it might occurred, yeah, I just don't see it.
Now, if it was multiple visits, do you think the dog could have overlapped the tracks that it encountered?
And so if the person walked in and then walked out a different way, I mean, that could have been where the dog is following a scent down and then a scent back. But normally, if someone is just walking out and then they're like, okay, they went this way, and then there's no backtrack because they left, then the dog would backtrack and go basically the same exact way that it came there. So how the tracks are overlapping and going different directions and stuff, it's just confusing to me, and on how I can't really put my finger on why that would occur. I mean, multiple visits, the dog should be taking the freshest scent. If it's a few different scents or tracks from one person, it should track the freshest one. I mean, we do this in training where we have people walking around all over the place, and then we say, okay, you're going to be the one that we're tracking for this dog for this time, and then they walk off through the area. The dog doesn't walk all the way around the cars and all the way where where they were working their dogs. They take the freshest, hottest scent and follow it that way. So the dogs can tell that what's fresher than the other ones. So I just don't. This just doesn't speak to me as though there's anything there that is of really value.
As close as the start and end point are, I mean, one of those tracks would have been fresher, right?
Yeah, I mean, if someone truly did walk out and then walk back, yeah, I mean, it very well could be somebody walked all the way down there and then turned around and walked all the way back. I don't know how that would fit into your storyline of how the events occurred, but I don't know.
Well, I mean, this is important contemporaneous evidence. So.
Yeah.
Can we look at track 6 now, for the northern segment of track 6?
Oh yeah.
Or we can talk about this one. We talked about this was the original track that was started at Teresa's car and went to the Cuss Road cul-de-sac, and then the police that were collecting there stopped the track.
Yeah. And to me, that's extremely suspicious. I mean, you have a canine olfactory asset that you've brought there to figure out where someone might have gone. And then they're processing a scene, okay? So that scene has been open and available for people to walk through or animals to walk through until they were like, hey, this is important. They put up some tape. They stand there and they're hanging out. And then here comes a tracking dog that's leading, a handler to what they're looking for. And so if they were to have lifted the tape and allowed the dog to go, underneath it or whatever, that would have connected two very important things. Right. And it would have made everything so much clearer and not as suspicious. Because that's extremely suspicious that they stopped this dog from going in there. Because all the dog would have done is gone over and went, oh yeah, there's where the track ends at the hole. Now, since it's not a cadaver dog, the dog's not going to be like, oh yeah, hey, that's where she's at. But it's going to be like, yep, this is where it ends. There's no person at the end of it, so there's really no response the dog's going to do other than go, okay, there's nothing. It's right here. That's it. But that's assuming that her scent went from the house all the way to the cul-de-sac and then ended at the hole. I mean,
yeah. But it could also be, we talked a little bit, that this could also be a track to the house and back from the cul-de-sac.
It could very well be somebody that parked at that cul-de-sac, walked all the way to the house, and then did whatever they were going to do, and then snuck their way back to the cul-de-sac, got in a car, and drove away. It very well could be. Now that comes to, or that kind of begs the question, if she gave that dog a scent article for Teresa Hallback and that dog followed that track, then she wasn't obviously following Teresa Hallback's scent. So it wasn't on the scent that she, wanted the dog to be on. So that brings questions to the dog's, credibility.
Yeah, when we read the report, we talked about this a little the other day. You said that the dog actually went to the Ford truck, and then it went to tried to go to the burn pit, and then it tried to go to the front, the south front door of Stephen's trailer, and she kept pulling it off and sort of telling it.
Yeah. So when a dog is trying to talk to you, it's kind of got like a low frustration level. So think of a little kid, and a little kid is like saying, "Mommy, I want to go over there," and you go, "Nah, don't go over there." But Mommy, I want to go over there, and you're like, "Nah, don't go over there." Eventually, the kid's going to go, "Okay, I'm not going to go there then. I want to go over that way," and see if that makes you happy. And so that's what the dogs kind of do. If the dog goes up to a vehicle and says, "I'm interested in what's inside that vehicle, kind of let me in," and then you don't let that dog in, and you pull them off, you're kind of, telling the dog, "Hey, look, no, you're wrong," and the dog gets frustrated, and then it goes, "Okay, well, let's go look over here." "Oh, okay, I can't go in there either." "No, okay, I'm going to go over here." "Oh, I can't go in there either." "All right." Because it's trying to get its treat or its toy or right, whatever reward is at the end of the track, and so it's trying to work for you to get that reward.
Tug in Zoe's case.
Yeah, and that's Zoe's. Hers is a tug, and so I mean, it's trying to make you happy by doing what you want it to do. But if you're giving it mixed messages, it gets frustrated because it doesn't know how to get its toy. So
when they pull her off of the front door and sort of lead her a little bit north, she may just pick up a totally different track that doesn't have to do with the scene article anymore.
Yeah, it could have definitely. Oh yeah. Who knows?
Travis also pointed out maybe the dog could be searching and has nothing, just looking, sniffing.
And then and then let's talk about showing interest versus alerting versus a trained final response. So when a dog shows interest, I mean, it's just meaning that the dog is like, oh, hey, yeah, let's do this. Okay. It's showing interest. Now, a dog alerting could be like, oh, this is something different. Hey, I'm stopping and I'm looking and I'm changing my behavior enough to make the handler go, ooh, something's here or something was here. Then you get a trained final response where the dog goes nose on source or gets as close as it can and says, okay, I'm going to lay down or bark or whatever that dog is trained to do, to then alert the handler, hey, look, we're at the end of it. I found it. Yay, be happy. Give me my toy. But some dogs will say, I need to see it, or I need to be close, or I need to touch it, or I got to be close enough to make sure that I'm good with this. So if there's source inside the vehicle, some dogs will go up and they'll sniff the door line and go, oh yeah, I'm getting excited because it's in there. Hey, yeah. But they won't give their trained final response until they get super close to it. Like inside of a house, if you've got source on the other side of a door, sometimes the dog will need you to open the door so then it can look at it or get close enough so it goes, I found this source, not just I'm not close to it, I'm on it, I got it for you. And so it kind of goes back to their training records and interviewing the handler and going, what does your dog do when it can't get to source from 10 feet away? What does it do? Does it lay down, or does it do its trained final response when it gets frustrated and can't get close enough? Or does it wander away and go, okay, well, obviously that's not it. It talks itself away from the source. So, yeah.
Okay, so if we go to, so this was track 3. Let's go to the track where they eventually restart Loof, where that track had ended. I think it's track 5. So,
and another thing that Scooby reminded me of the issue where Brutus, the cadaver dog, was not allowed to go inside the RAV4 after he was getting excited or whatnot when he put his head underneath the tarp and was kind of like, hey, I'm excited about it. Well, that's not a trained final response. That's not his trained final response is a bark from what I've read. Right. And so he did not bark. He did not hit on that vehicle. He did not say that there were, there was evidence of human remains in that vehicle. He just got excited because of the vehicle. Now, why is that? Who knows?
I think she said that she felt he wanted her to let him in.
And she should have.
Right.
She absolutely should have. Because then the dog would have been like, oh, yeah, no, no. Okay, I was wrong. I'm not going to give my trained final response. Let's go over here. Because if the dog doesn't know and it's thinking, this is it. And you don't give them the opportunity to figure it out, then you're frustrating the dog. Right. And that kind of cuts down on its drive a bit. And it's like, okay, it gets a little lazy about things. Right. Just kind of depends on the dog. It's hard to assume.
Right.
But
Rachel asks that the RAV4 was gone already, but I think this was on the 5th. And
there was a time.
The cadaver dog she's talking about. The cadaver dog.
The cadaver dog. That was earlier, so the RAV was still in place.
It was.
It's only the bloodhounds that weren't there when the RAV was.
Yeah, they came 2 days later.
Yeah. So this one, what they did was they restarted Loof along the walk between Stephen's trailer and the Cusswood cul-de-sac, but they let her through this time, and then she tracked through this wooded area and eventually came on the burial site. And then there's a description that Loof didn't like the smell and turned to her, and she describes, she thinks she understands what Loof's saying, but can we back up and actually see the words?
Yeah, because sometimes that dogs that are not introduced to human remains, they kind of know that there's a dead person there, and that could freak them out. Or they're like, what in the world is that? They're just not used to that, and they will get standoffish. They'll be shy about the area. Some dogs just turn and go the opposite way. Some dogs go in and try to eat it. So we just don't know.
Okay, so if we go a little bit further back, I think that split paragraph between them. Yeah, so he entered the woods again, going into the marked crime scene area. Was looking at the possible grave site, then looking at me, which is, she's calling it alert, where he thinks the smell is not favorable, or she thinks it. I'm sorry, Lucy girl. All right, not making an indication that it's Teresa's scent. So she just smells something there she doesn't like. Could it have been the peat moss, or could it have been cremains? There's no way to know.
No way to know.
Okay. Okay, so that was track 5. So if we go back to track 4. Okay, so track 4, I have a theory that these are actually 2 different excursions that are getting tracked. And that where you have that little heart-shaped thing on the far left, I think is where a car was parked. And then one excursion was to the deer camp, and another excursion was to the location of the RAV4, which is where the end track ends up being. That was my best explanation of this, but Loof does walk around the deer camp here and does not pick up a trail back towards Stevens from the deer camp. Yeah. And that's on 11/7. Now the next day, in the early morning, they come back. So let's go to track 6. It's the northern section of track 6, so if we could get this a little larger. Yeah, so here they rerun the track all the way from the van, where the van is parked. Again, very similar things happen around the house. Luke gets pulled off the door and ends up going up toward Cuss Road. But this time, instead of going to the grave site, Luke goes down to the deer camp, circles the deer camp, and then heads back towards Stevens' house to this berm. And the handler reports that this track is the strongest scent that Luke worked all week.
And let me just interject here that look at all the areas that would have shown a footprint. And yep. none of that was ever, looked at, or she didn't look at it, or they didn't care enough. I don't know.
Yeah, they seem sort of tunnel vision, looking for what's at the end of the track, and don't think the track itself was important.
Yeah.
Now, what I think is that the bones were planted on this track, and they were carried in a square 4-gallon bucket that got discarded at the deer camp that we have photographs of, and that the person who carried them down had gotten them from the Cuss Road burial site and hid in the berm for a while because there was a Calumet Sheriff's Office officer in front of Stevens' house, and then got an opportunity to dump the bucket and leave. So this is the one where, so the 2 places we think we could find cremains that haven't been found are the vicinity we saw on, I guess it was track 5, where Luke was walking around and ended up at the Cuss Road burial site smelling something unfavorable.
Mm-hmm.
And then the entire length of this track up until the burn pit, we think there could have been cremains spilled. There actually were cremains spilled outside of the burn pit, but I guess I showed you the other day that they excavated his entire backyard with a bobcat.
It's the forensic bobcat. It's forensic bobcat.
Yes, they were being very careful to see what it was plowing under, and didn't care at all. And we don't know who gave that order, but I don't think it was to find anything. So this would be so all this area would be of interest to look for a possible still bone fragment. Okay, and then and this is the other one that looks very much like the scenario we have. So we know that they didn't find the bones in the burn pit until the 8th.
Right.
We know on the 7th, Luke went around that deer camp and did not find this trail. On the 8th, and it didn't rain between the 7th and 8th, and then Luke comes back on the 8th and finds this very strong scent, actually all along that trail. I think Fausti describes these two X's as Luke getting very excited there and actually going in water to see what was in the water. And then the cadaver dogs also hit real bad on that berm.
And then here, yeah.
The burn pit, which was at the end of that arrow that Fausti drew, there were bone fragments found outside of it that the police didn't document the location of.
How incredible is that? I mean, that's just really good police work, guys. Really good.
And just in case there were more bone fragments, they send a bobcat in to plow the entire yard under.
Wow. Crazy.
And the DCI agent comes in and refuses to photograph anything because he knows that the scene has been modified since it was first found.
Right.
And so all the evidence of planting also is not photographed, because the photos could have shown bones were planted if they were.
Yes, that I think they've already found out that if they took photographs of things, it usually didn't treat the Manitowoc County Sheriff's Office very well. Okay, yeah. So I think that's all we really discussed about the dog tracks last time.
Yep.
All right.
So, yeah, so
any
just
more
going
questions, folks. Sorry, go ahead.
And just going over the whole thing about, hey, because I know there's a lot of push to have another dog go out there and check things out. And do I think it would be worthwhile? Well, of course, because you haven't had a independent dog do that. It would be quite a few, maybe 3 or 4 day kind of a process of doing detailed searching and documenting each area that is searched. But I think it could lead to some more stuff being found if it's out there. And then also looking at other possibilities of, where are the possible suspects? Where have they frequented? Where do they normally go? What do they know? What feels safe and comfortable for them to where they might have burned a body, transported it over? There could be other remains or cremains at another location that is not even in this area. So, I mean, just to kind of break it down, I mean, when a crematorium cremates a body, it uses 1,000 to 1,900 degrees of flame enclosed, holding it against the body for 2 to 3 hours. And so that's a lot of heat for a long time concentrated on that body to get it into the ash or cremation stage. And so to think that a burn barrel would create cremains, you got to realize how fire burns. And then in a barrel, the heat and the fire will be at top, and then you'll have stuff that's really not burning down below unless it's really aerated through there. There would need to be accelerants used for a lot of accelerants over a long period of time to generate anything close to what could, create cremains. So, I'm just not thinking it was done in the burn pit or in the barrel. I think that's where they dumped it to try to, cover their tracks and then point the finger stronger at who they wanted to blame.
Sure.
Yeah, so there is one other location of interest. It's the location of the debris piles in the county quarry.
Okay.
The cadaver dogs went over there, and there were some alert spots over. There was one alert spot, I guess, but we do have some photos of what those debris piles look like, and they did not look like a cremation site at all. They looked like a place where dirt, cremains, and fire ash got dumped. So, and there were two large piles that what we estimate about 20 gallons total each. And the police scooped up everything, tried to leave nothing, and possible human bones were found in it, but the police archaeologists forensic archaeologists refused to say with any certainty that they were human bones. Zellner has identified a test that could test for DNA in them, and those are the ones that were returned to the family and may be pulverized.
Oh, let me see Zoe.
Hey,
Zoe.
She just woke up from a nap, so she's like, "Yeah, what do you want?"
Well, we're talking about you, Zoe. Yeah.
Any FaceTime with Zoe is more important than what I have to say.
There's an interesting question from Rachel. She says there is another location that might be of interest of dogs, and that is her own house. Isn't it strange that there were no dogs sent to her house and see if they could track something or find something? Because she could have made it home after she went to the salvage yard.
Sure. It's unlikely that would have been the cremation location, but a scent dog at the time would have been a great thing to bring there. Or even a cadaver dog would have found decaying blood, right?
Yep. So let's talk about blood real quick, because I know there's some people that were talking about live blood and dead blood. As soon as it comes out of your body, it's dead blood. So it's the same, and the blood that came out of your body doesn't know that your body died or is alive. So it's just going to die. And so there is no such thing as live blood or dead blood. So as soon as it comes out of your body, it's dead, and the dog will hit on it. So we do a lot of training with blood, placentas, which are a blood-rich organ that comes out of a body after a girl gives birth, and it's an organ, and so we train a lot with those too. That's actually probably the easiest source for people to get for human remains detection is a placenta, because some people use that for medical stuff or home stuff or whatever. So it's not unfrequent that people will say, "Hey, I want to take my placenta home." They'll box it up and let the people take it home and then give it to us. And then, but that's just one thing, and we don't rely on placenta. We have to use bones, meat, skin, hair, teeth. We do a lot of teeth. We have hookups with people who do like root canals, and they're in there ripping out parts of the jaw, and they give us the bloody, meaty, teeth, and we use those too as a separate source to train on.
I would say we have some concerns that if we look for an HRD handler in the area, that we might not get one anywhere near the quality that you and Zoe are. Is there some way to know who's really good in the area that you're aware of?
Yeah, I mean, search dogs, cadaver dogs, people like that, we're pretty tight, little small community, but there's a lot of people that we don't know. I didn't know the girl from New Mexico. That doesn't mean anything. Just because I don't know her doesn't mean that she's nobody. She's, there were some things that she said that were kind of like, I had a different opinion on, but she's, but to find somebody that is local,
and not associated with law enforcement is the other thing.
Yeah, I mean, you got to understand how search and rescue operates too, because when a search and rescue team needs to go on a call out, it's the local sheriff from that county that's calling them out. So a team from the area could go to, to 3 counties away or the other side of the state, and that sheriff has got to know about him and then trust him to come. So if a local person went to it and they're like, oh, you guys are the ones that came to work against the police or do stuff against the system or whatnot, and you're with these people over here who are trying to overturn what they might think is a legitimate conviction, they might take umbrage to that. So
right.
Yeah. So
all right, well,
but there's airplanes though, so people can get on an airplane and fly across and go do that. So
right.
Not that many at the moment. But
There's plenty of airplanes. They just aren't flying.
Yeah, they just aren't flying.
Well, the flights are cheap, so
yeah, right.
Yeah.
So we are basically wrapping up. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this segment up. We got to get ready for some other people that want to come in for the close of MaM-a-Thon, and but I want to thank all of you for being here. It's a very interesting discussion.
Yep.
Hey, you're welcome. Thanks for inviting.
Thank you so much, Jeff.
So let me point in the right direction. So who's that? I see Sharon Sunshine.
I'm
Yeah.
Sharon.
Hey, how are you?
Hi, Jeff.
Hey, I just saw you pop up, and I'm like, I haven't even talked to you.
I was here for Scotland.
Scotland.
Yeah,
Oh, nice.
Scotland.
Very cool.
And it's 3:30 in the morning.
Oh wow.
So, yeah. So
a wee late. So
She
that's
said
funny.
for me, that's kind of juice I got with her, man. So
Yeah.
yeah. But he gets up early in the morning for me. So
yeah,
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Yep.
All right, guys. Well, it's been a pleasure having you here.
Cool.
Gotta get ready for a new group of people to come through the broadcast studio. So we'll
Kick us out
soon.
yes.
All right.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks, Rome, Magella.
Thank
Thanks,
everybody.
Jeff.
Jeff.
And
Appreciate it.
And if people are interested in having Zoe go to Wisconsin, we can discuss that.
Yeah.
We can discuss that.
I've been
I would do it
putting
for.
up sorry,
What's that?
Jay. I'm saying I've been putting up the link for the donate to the Utah.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be a donation to the team.
No,
it would
that's
be
what I
a
was
thing
going to
where
say.
somebody else would need to do a GoFundMe
Yeah.
to then
Yeah.
pay for the expenses to go out there. But I wouldn't charge anything to do it.
I just made an addition to that.
Yeah, but if people want
Yeah,
to
we
donate
put-
to the team, I mean, we're a volunteer team, and that's what we do is we go all across the state, and we go into all the neighboring states to do searches for free for people. So
Yeah.
if people are feeling philanthropic, you can go over and donate, or someone can create a GoFundMe, Scooby, and then get it going on, and maybe we'll go out there with this virus thing. I got a lot of time on my hands, going crazy, so we could fit that in, and flights wise, we can make it work. So let me know. See you later. Thank you.
Bye.
Hey, Erekose, I think it'd be cool to have him on again. Well, him and Magilla, there's so much information there that he's putting
Both
out.
be on again next Sunday. Absolutely.
Okay, well, yeah, I mean, we there was a lot this weekend. There was a lot of talk about the dogs that was all very interesting, and the dogs when you start talking the dogs, it gets crazy. Just how many questions are out there. I mean, they're flying, and I couldn't even keep up trying just because it takes more. It takes more explanation. It's not just cut and dry.
So, Ripper, where you at? Get your sorry Hollywood butt in here, dude. Jeez. Slacking. What else we got? Damn it, where is it? Are you there, Tracy?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I just want to make sure.
I just don't have the video on because I don't feel good. So
What the hell? Okay, this one. Wait, but Ripper's in there. Where's Ripper at? Where's everybody at? I know I think Linda had to take off earlier, so.
Yeah, I think Linda didn't be early.
X-ray of canine testimony. The dog guy just left, unfortunately. Earl. Hey, there's Ripper Jack. Hey, get your butt in here, dude. Come on, Hollywood. Let's see who else. Paul, since you're still awake.
Make it so.
Oh, there's Ripper. All right. Uh-oh, wait. I got to wait for his devices to connect. Come on. Your guests will need to connect their mic and cam before you can add them to the stream. Johnny's having technical difficulties. Yeah, where's Andrew? I'll take Andrew. Where's he at?
Yeah, I couldn't be here in the opening one because I had to be in my bed because I was up early.
Yeah.
So we're coming on. So.
I think Ripper's retrying. Hopefully his devices will be connected this time. There he is. Hey, what's up there, buddy?
Sorry. I had to actually unplug my stuff and replug it back in. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, that was weird. It's so weird. Just telling me that your devices weren't connected. I'm like, oh, damn it.
Yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? I was trying it. Wouldn't work.
All right, so here we are bringing MaM-a-Thon to a close. Obviously, it was a great weekend. A lot of great stuff. A lot of, the hosts really had a lot of great stuff. Every host had very interesting stuff. I don't know how many people got to see Stacy Seabrook over in the middle of the night over on Jerome's channel, but I got to watch a bit of that before I, unfortunately went comatose. But what's up, Paul? How's it going, buddy?
What you wanting this time?
Hey, did you have a good MaM-a-Thon, buddy?
Yeah.
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 Get a lot of good information out there. Enjoy your guests.
Yes. I love a very what's the word? Cosmopolitan from Australia, Canada. All around the world.
Speaking of Australia, huh, Paul?
Sorry?
Speaking of Australia.
Contraband.
Also, it was nice to use your studio. Sorry about the whiskey gun, but
yeah, right.
I bet Paul's drunk. He's been drinking for since all day long.
He's probably had a few whiskeys. He's probably had a few drams.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you see, but you see, the thing is, we can't inject or ingest disinfectant. So the best cure is alcohol. Alcohol will get rid of COVID. So
the Purell, right? There you go.
40% blood.
I hear you, Paul.
That's a lie. Kids have been eating Tide Pods here for the past 2 years.
Yeah. Tide Pods, yeah. Tide Pods are on the way back. Anyways. So, all right. Well, so was it fun for you, Johnny? Obviously, your first MaM-a-Thon. You weren't part of it last year. What were some of your takeaways?
Yeah, it was fun. It was great. It was real fast, though. I mean, both segments, the 3 hours just flew by. Like, you would think, okay, 3 hours, I'm going to have to get all this information together, but it just boom, 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 boom. It just went by so fast, and I didn't expect it to go by that fast, but that's good that it wasn't just dragging on, but it was spectacular. And, I loved talking to Michelle and Diane from Australia and England. I mean, it's really cool that we can sit here and especially me out in the middle of nowhere where I can talk to someone from Australia or England or Ohio, like Mitch. And, I mean, that's great. And then, of course, talking to Adam. I mean, Adam's story is so tragic, I mean, I'm just glad that he was on, and, I got to, after this show, after mine, I got to send Aaron his story, his information, I mean, all that stuff is good. If we get, someone especially like Aaron involved with Adam's story, oh man, that's, that's huge, because he still has a long way to go. You know, I mean, he had to agree to a felony assault.
Yeah.
And he wasn't even there. I mean, like, he's innocent of it, but he had to agree to that. And that's not the way our justice system is supposed to work.
Exactly.
You know?
I mean, it's like when things like that happen, people say things like, "Oh, well, how do you think all these departments or how all this, different departments, all these different officers?" It's like all compasses point north. Look, most of them found out there was something found that was incriminating, and they didn't question it. They just believe what their brothers were telling them, and they just go along. A lot of it is just them going along. It's not actually any conscious. Sometimes for a lot of them, it's not a conscious decision they're making. It's just all compasses point north, and they just go along with the flow.
Right, and somebody has to step up sometimes. Like, if you're in law enforcement and you see another officer violating someone's rights, as a law enforcement officer, they should step up and say, hey, hold on, buddy. Like, what they're doing is perfectly legal. Like, they need to step up and enforce the law and protect the rights of the citizens. But in so many times in these cases, you see all these people just turn and look the other way, and they allow it to happen. And that's not what they're paid to do. They're paid to serve. They are public servants. They are supposed to serve the public, not take their freedoms away.
Right.
Don't get me started on that. I won't ever be able to go to sleep tonight. I'll be so mad. But I really like talking to Adam. I mean, of all the guests, I mean, he's the one that, I mean, it was just really a pleasure to visit with Adam and see his smile, his attitude. I mean, if anybody's feeling down, man, go look at that guy's Facebook page. And I mean, how can you feel down after you know what that guy went through, and then he has such like positivity? I mean, that was a good experience for me. Right. I think that's the highlight of the show for me was Adam. Did we lose our host?
Oh, he's like Jerome.
All right, great. We have Jerome. That's great.
Hello, everybody. Hello.
Jerome's not as picky. Hey, I think Carol had a cat named Nirvana. Carol Baskin. Yeah.
Really?
So maybe Jerome's involved with Carol Baskin.
Maybe.
Now, did you get some sleep, Jerome?
I have sleep 6 or 7 hours during the MaM-a-Thon, so I'm tired, but I don't want to miss the end of the MaM-a-Thon, and I would like to say that was really amazing and very, very big emotional for me, because it was a great moment with great person and great guest, and all the hosts was really great, and they do the job. And I would like to thanks again all of you and this guy there, Mr. Cozy. Thank you very much, dude, again, and thank you to all of you, and that's all for me. What can I say? Much. It's
Jerome. Remind us again. What's the Belgium for a cold ass honky?
It's down. It's an Erekose.
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 I don't know where this is going.
At least my t-shirt doesn't smell like pish.
Yet.
Well, that is true. I'm the dude, and Mr. Capaldi is continuously looking for a chance to micturate on my rug. So,
Is that a red rug? Like Paul's?
So, obviously, what stuck out to you this weekend, Miss Sharon Sunshine?
Well, that sounded awful, kind of like doom and gloom there, the way that I said that. Just well, No, just the way that everybody just all pulled together, and you know, it was great. I mean, this is the first time I've been a host on MaM-a-Thon, but obviously I was there last year and helping out, you know, and getting no sleep. So it was a bit different this year, having to, you know, not do the crazy mod thing, as having to concentrate and being on the next day. You know, it's like you have to kind of, your priorities change, you know. And I mean, when I say that, you know, it's 3:45 now, but you know me, that does time's okay for me, you know. But I mean, it's really just great the way everybody just pulled together, and you know, just the way that we're just all there for each other, you know, and because we're all doing it for the guys, you know. So it's great. It's great that we can all just, you know, all have we all have our own different ideas, you know, for our shows and stuff like that. But we've all got the same vision of wanting, you know, to put our hearts out there. Yeah. Yeah, do you know, I've got my heart necklace on for Ziggy as well. Yep, I know, he's Ziggy.
So
it's
and
for
that's
Ziggy.
another thing, folks, to remind everybody out that this event was also in memory of Ziggy, who was a big part of MaM-a-Thon last year, big part of helping us plan it, big part of helping us. I mean, she was, like I said, making those stickers I showed you at the beginning of MaM-a-Thon in my first segment, and she was handing those out as incentives to get people to donate, and so that if they donated, she would send them a sticker. I mean, she was Johnny on the spot, ready to take on whatever task needed to be dealt with, and we miss her dearly. So,
I was nearly going to point behind me to the sign saying, "We all live in Avery Road," forgetting that I'm not in the other room.
Right. Yeah.
I've forgotten I've changed where I am. I was like, that was there before. Not there now.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, Tracy, you got anything to say over there?
Well, I do. Let me know if there's any feedback. You guys got any feedback right now?
It's okay to me.
No, it sounds fine.
Okay to me.
Wait, hold on.
Is this where we get in trouble?
I am having a lot. It's not just my headphones.
I feel like I'm about to get in
The sound is
trouble.
cutting in and out for me. Oh, wait, hold on. So this is even worse. Yeah, the sound keeps cutting in and out, and I can't understand anybody. But I thought maybe it was the jack on my iPad, but I unplugged, and it's still crappy.
Okay, so you're having
YouTube's not open.
Hold on. It's even worse now. Let me put my headphones back on. Go ahead.
We can hear you just fine, or I can hear you just fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, yeah, the sound is cutting out. It's just really weird. And I don't want to go upstairs to my computer because stairs are just not my friend right now. So,
well, everybody can hear you. So
anyway, I'll say what I have to say. That's why I'm not in video. I just wrecked myself after yesterday, so having kind of a rough day. I need to say thanks to everybody. Obviously, the hosts go, you know, you guys put in a lot of time. You're on air a lot of time, and even though it's just like River said, it's like it goes so much faster than you think. I mean, I did 4 hours, and it just went by so fast I couldn't believe it. You know, it was just like I still ran out of time with each guest. I could have probably did at least another half hour with each one, and it's just crazy how that works. I mean, I could have been on for 6 hours easy. So I did say that I should get an award for having the longest segment and not needing to excuse myself for anything.
She's talking about me going to the bathroom, right? I knew I was going to get in trouble.
I knew it. Coffee too. So I mean,
I did. Well, let me just tell you the reason I did that. Okay, because Nosy and Jinx kept saying they were so nervous that they didn't want to go on, and I think, like with Erekose, that those two should have their own channel and they should be in front talking about this stuff all the time. So I did that on purpose.
Jinxie to do it for a while, but
I left them in charge so that they could just be there and see that it's not that hard to do. So that was one of the reasons I wanted them on there. And
so calculated.
Yeah.
And honestly, I wasn't even thinking of you, to be honest. I said it was just in general. I know a couple times where I see
I just incriminated myself.
Or go out for a second, which I totally understand, because I kept thinking, my gosh, if I have to go to the bathroom, what the hell am I going to do? Because like, it's just me, and it's 4 hours. So anyway, just trying to lighten the mood. So yeah, again, thank you to the hosts. You guys did a great job. Thank you to the guests. Obviously, we had some phenomenal guests this year. Thank you to the moderators who last year were the unsung heroes, and this year it's the same. Obviously, Julie and Fen are in a lot of them. I mean, Jane is in so many of them. Jamie and T1 were both in just about every chat I saw. Rhonda, One Strand. I know I'm going to forget people. I don't know, but whoever I'm forgetting, I'm sorry. I don't mean to Linda did double duty as a mod and as a host.
Yeah, don't start the list.
I am not going to be able to understand you guys, so
was here
sorry.
too.
Don't worry.
I really wish you weren't cutting out so I can understand what people are saying.
Yeah,
I can't. Let's see.
Go ahead,
Also,
go
I'm
ahead.
trying to think what else I wanted to say.
Everybody start talking
yeah,
at
so
once.
the moderators, yes. I say a big thank you, and I did this on my stream, and I don't know if everybody saw it, but Tanya Henry did a great job for us this year in getting some of our guests. She got all 3 of mine, Doreen and Ricky and Jason, and she got Sydney for Erekose a half hour before we went on. So it was like really last minute. And then of course Adam for Ripper there, because I would have loved to have done the interview with Adam, but I overbooked myself already and I couldn't do it. So I have to say thank you to Ripper for doing such a good job with that interview. When I couldn't do it myself.
Say you're a lucky bastard, Ripper.
And then let's see.
I was. I agree.
What was that?
I said I think Ripper was a lucky bastard.
Anyway. I agreed.
I was, and I'll take lucky any day of the week.
You know what? I am going to go out and come back in on my phone, because then maybe I can hear you guys, because this is driving me crazy.
Okay,
so I'll be right back.
Yeah, give it a try.
All right. So should we trick her when she comes back? Should we all start going? When she comes back, let's do that to her. It'd be good for her heart. So let us know. Let us know before you let her in, and we'll all just start talking like that.
All right.
Oh God, I'm going to be in so much trouble by her and by Nancy Grace. I'll never live it down, especially with Nancy Grace or One Strand. Oh my gosh.
I nearly died when you said that earlier on. That was just so funny.
I know. I knew I was going to catch hell from her when Linda said, "Come on at noon," and I turned on and she was there. I was like, "Oh no!" I'm like, "Okay, well, it's time to face the music." Yeah,
brother.
I'm gonna. I know. I'm gonna be in trouble.
On Twitter the other night.
Yeah, I mean, like, I might just go someplace else tonight to sleep, because I don't know. She might know where I live. I don't know. There's just with all these.
Hi.
Can
you actually were already talking before I was added.
Oh, we didn't know.
So nice try. I could hear before you guys started doing that. It actually is still cutting out a little bit, but it's not cutting out as bad as it was.
Oh, not as bad as you're making it seem.
Yeah.
Well, we tried.
Thank you, though. Thank you for that. Like, I wasn't annoyed enough with myself that I couldn't hear.
Oh.
I'm good there, Paul.
You guys are funny. Let's see. Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah, you're fine. We're all so tired.
It is still cutting in. See, I can tell the background sounds are still cutting out, so that's why I know it's still cutting out, but it's not as bad. I can sort of understand. I don't know why I'm having this issue. Oh no, that just got bad again. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, folks. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh.
gonna have to go out and come on. I'm gonna have to go back and try my laptop. I do not know what the deal is right now. Thank God this happened yesterday.
No, we can hear you just fine, Tracy. FYI, we can hear you fine.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, and
Yeah,
you're
but
like
then we're
you're
gonna
better than
start-
you were when I was on my iPad, but not as great. But stop it.
Is she talking about me?
Well, anyway. No, you were just fine. I could just hear you perfectly, but it keeps going in and out still. And now it looks like everyone's just staring into space.
Well, you can. Well, everybody out there can hear you, Tracy. So if you want to just, you know.
I know you guys can hear me, but I can't hear you. That's the problem.
I know. Well, I know.
So okay,
I know
well,
once
I'll
you
just
start talking,
yeah, I'll just
these
talk.
clowns will start jumping in. But anyway.
Well, that's the problem, though. It's like when I'm talking and then also you see somebody's mouth move. It's like, well, did you say something and I didn't catch it? Okay, I'm trying this again. I'm leaving again, and I'll be back. I'm gonna go on my laptop.
All
If
right.
that doesn't work, screw it. I'm talking, and then you can say anything until I'm done.
All right, so we have to be quiet when she comes back. Finn's telling it in the chat. You guys all be quiet and let Tracy say her thing. So if we don't do that, she's going to start a new podcast, and it might be called like 85 More Things. She'll put us as one of those extra things in there. You don't know. Well,
Maybe.
Oh, gosh.
Or it'll be the school marm. Anyway. No.
Oh, no, she's here. Oh, no, Nancy's here. I didn't know she was here, but she's here. I see her in the chat.
She's yeah, she's there.
Yeah, I think I got to.
So she must have missed it.
It's time for me to go. I'm just kidding, One Strand. I'm just kidding. You don't look like Nancy Grace. Totally. Just a little bit. No.
And you
she
don't
looks
want
like-
to go now Ripper anyway, because Fen will think it's because of her.
She looks like Trisha Yearwood. That's who she looks like. If you look up Trisha Yearwood from the 90s, that's who One Strand looks like. Just Google Trisha Yearwood 1990s, and they look just alike. They really do.
Busted
Yeah,
again.
I am. That's what I get.
Now we're waiting for Tracy's laptop to boot up.
Oh, she have to boot it up too.
I would imagine.
All right, so how much sleep did everyone get? I want to know how much, because I woke up pretty early this morning, but then I fell asleep. I was going to get up, and then I just crashed.
I did that yesterday. Today I actually stayed up all day. I
What
crashed for 3 hours. I woke up early, was up for about an hour and a half or two, and then just crashed, and I was out for 3 or 4 hours, and then was back up. Today I was up all day.
What about you, Sharon? Because I saw you on all the time. It seems like. Did you?
I know. Well, I have disturbed sleep anyway, usually, so it worked out fine. I just kept my phone on. I just kept going on, and so yeah, I got a few hours. Sort of. I tried to go make sure I was on everyone's at least even
Yeah, because
not show face, but show comment.
I saw
at
you a
least.
lot. I was like, she's not sleeping at all. She's all
No, it was.
over.
I got a wee sleepies in between, so wee sleepies.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Okay, well, I can actually hear you guys now. So
Okay.
I don't know what was wrong with my phone and my laptop.
You can understand when we're taking the piss while you're talking. So, all right.
Yeah. I just need to turn
Dude's
up.
idea. Dude's idea.
Was it? Was it my idea? Really?
What?
To take the piss. I think Johnny started. A Ripper there. Hollywood
I
started.
knew it. I knew. Once again, I'm in trouble again. Once again.
It just finds you, dude. What are you gonna do?
I had to do it for the team. I had to do it for Nosy and Jinx. I just stood right over here and was listening. Did you hear me? And I was like, 80 more things. I never even went. I was just standing there watching them talk. That's what I did.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Tracy. I'll listen.
Is it my turn still?
Yeah, it's your turn. Sorry.
Okay, well, now that I can. What?
Kidding.
Oh,
I'm kidding.
now that I can actually talk. I said again, I already think I want to thank Tanya Henry, and I started doing that before, but she helped get us the guests. I told her that she needs to be our booking agent in the future because she got us some amazing guests. So thank you, Tanya, if you're watching. I'm not sure if you are. We, as far as the donations go, okay. First, I said from the beginning, this was not meant to be a fundraiser. We were going to encourage people to donate because it was a nightmare with the fundraising last year. This year ended up having snags as well, because no matter what we do, there's always snags with this stuff. People want to know what the totals were, and I was like, we're not getting that information. We asked people to send in their donation receipts. Not very many people were doing that, and then all of a sudden, the total, like their accounts were maxed, and I was like, wow, that's amazing. Now, is it unheard of that they could have maxed out in one day? No, because we made that much last weekend. This time, all weekend last year. So it's possible. I thought it was a little improbable, to be honest, because people overseas couldn't donate. But I can't figure out why else their accounts would say that they were maxed when it's a $2,900 per day limit. So that's why I was like, well, we probably brought in a lot more money than I thought we were going to, and my thought was maybe people were more comfortable donating this year because it was going straight to the guys and there wasn't the middleman in between. We do have a lot of new supporters, especially since this quarantine's been going on. A lot of people have watched Making a Murder for the first time. So there's a lot of new supporters. So that could be it. But I also didn't want to end up being in a position where we're saying, well, we made $5,000 in one day. And then all of a sudden find out later that, no, you made like 500. And then it looks like we were trying to lie or trying to, fool anybody. And honestly, we're not. We just have no way of knowing for sure. And that's why I said, all I can say for sure is that I know yesterday they hit, or very close to their day. They're a couple $100 short of their daily limit. Today, we haven't had that problem. They haven't hit the daily limit as far as we know. Nobody's had any issues. So again, it's very possible we did hit the limit yesterday. Didn't get as many donations today. But as far as totals go, I do not know. It could be anywhere from $600 to $6,000. Don't really know. I'm not sure we will ever know exactly because as far as I'm concerned, once it goes in the guys' canteens, it's their business. It's not ours. So I'm not really sure I feel comfortable asking either one of them, well, how much did you make over the weekend? Honestly, they'd probably tell me, but I don't know if I feel comfortable telling everybody else that because, again, that's kind of the point of it going directly to them because then nobody else really knows how much money they have in there. And it's kind of their thing. So if anybody has a problem with that, feel free to message me and we'll talk about it. But I'm going to tell you right now that once it's in there, it's there. Everybody that donated knows it went directly to them. So how much they got, whatever, it shouldn't really matter. Because there's no question now that we have the money, we haven't deposited it. No, everything that you sent in, went to the guys and it's going to be helpful and they're going to need it. So hopefully that's good enough for everybody. So I'm going to say a big thank you to everyone that did donate. I wish I had a total because it's really awesome to be able to sit here and say we made $6,000 for the guys. And again, we might have, I just don't want to say for sure when I don't know. And I hope that everybody can understand why I'm saying that I don't really feel comfortable asking them after the fact how much money they have, because I just don't think that's right. So hopefully everybody will understand that. There were a few things that I know I saw a few complaints overall. Last year we kind of used this time to get some feedback and see what people thought of everything. Overall, the response has been really great. I'm really thrilled with how happy everybody seems to have been with the show. I think a lot of people really had a great time. The one thing that I did see in a few chats, people complaining that there wasn't enough MAM stuff, not enough MAM related stuff. Okay, so I have a couple things to say about that. First off, when we selected these dates, our intention was to have the state's response out already. That would have been a big topic of discussion for us for this weekend. Unfortunately, because of delays, we haven't seen it yet. So that means there's very relatively super new material for us to discuss. That's why we did have some of the people on that have been getting those FOIA requests and some of the documents people haven't seen. But as far as actual new information, it's really hard to discuss that stuff that's brand new. And you can't say there wasn't anything MAM related because there was. And I would say, yeah, there's some off-topic stuff. It's 48 hours, okay? There's going to be some off-topic stuff. But some of the stuff is very on topic. This started all the way on the kickoff with Erekose. When Sydney was on, someone was moaning already about it. And I was like, how rude are you? First off, this person is a sister of a murder victim, and you just can't be cordial, can't be a civil human being. That just really did not set the tone for me as far as I was concerned. But if you think that Stephen Brendan's cases have nothing to do with wrongful convictions, then you're not paying attention.
You know, 100%, folks.
Yeah, I mean,
we're bringing you stories of wrongful convictions, not for any dumbass reason. We're bringing those stories to educate. So
right, I mean, that's it. And it starts. Ricky said that on the show yesterday with me. He said it starts with educating ourselves, learning about this, learning, and especially when you have, and then you have someone like Doreen, whose son's still incarcerated. She knows exactly what the Averys are going through right now, and the Dassies. She knows how they feel, how she's been fighting, and she's been beating her head against a wall. And so for her, she was so overwhelmed by it. She has been on 2020. She's been in Vanity Fair. She's been in the New York Post. She has done so many interviews, and I think she was more moved last night than she's ever been, because we got it. This wasn't going and doing an interview with a bunch of people think she's just this crazy person who thinks there's corruption and how her son couldn't possibly be guilty. And, and she couldn't believe it, because when she said, well, you can try to explain the Brady violation. And I was like, these people get it. Trust me, I don't need to explain that to everyone. This is a very educated audience, and they understand what you're going through. Like, we have been looking at this case for 4 years. Like, we get that there's corruption. We're not going to question you at all. Like, you're not crazy. We understand this. And I think she finally felt like people got her and like understood what she's actually going through and beating her head up a wall. So I think she actually just found people that, that actually understand. And so, 2020 is going to certainly get a lot more viewers, but you're talking about a general.
Don't take the tree down.
Don't take the tree. Oh, she absolutely won't. You can see how emotional she got about the Christmas tree.
Yep.
And it means the world to her. So the fact that maybe we can just get John some letters. Lord knows we got a lot of great letter writers in our, in this community, just to show him some support. If maybe we can, like she wanted people to write the judge. Everybody knows my feelings on that. But you know what? She asked, that's what she wants. So you know what? I'm going to put it up there. If anybody feels like writing the judge, go ahead. I'm not going to say not to do it. In fact, Doreen has already contacted me, and she actually wants to come on again this week. And she wants to go over, she found those 911 transcripts, and she wants to go over some more documents. So I'm really going to have to learn how to show my screen to people. But she enjoyed it so much, and she got so much, support from it, that she wants to come on again right away and talk more in depth about it, and maybe get some more people to start talking about the case and get some more eyes on it. So I also told her, you won't find better researchers than you will in this community. If you need help with anything, all you need to do is, you don't even have to ask. People will start looking into stuff for you. So that's really cool that we could do that for somebody. Steve and Brendan were on Netflix, and they have, how many millions of people have watched Netflix, and how many hundreds of thousands of people have shown their support over the last 4 years. This is just one mom just trying to get people to pay attention.
Right.
So the fact that we could do that for her is just amazing. It makes me feel really good. Forget everything else. That makes me feel really good to have Ricky on, to have Jason on, people who, they said, give hope. They give hope. Someone like Sandy, who's been fighting for Steve for 15 years, and yeah, she's beating her head against the wall, and obviously the family, and yet to hear someone say, I was in prison for 23 years. Don't give up don't give up. Don't give up. And one thing, this is already probably more than I wanted to say, but one thing I really wanted to bring up, Ricky is amazing when it comes to speaking and coming up with some pretty awesome quotes. I told him, that's when I first asked him if he was going to write a book, because he's so good at coming up with things. And he didn't really come up with any yesterday that I noted, but the first time I talked to him, he said something that really meant the world to me, because I know as a supporter that sometimes I feel very helpless. Yeah, I can go on, I can talk about the case, things like that, but I do overall feel really helpless, because honestly, what am I doing? I can't get him out of prison. I wish I could. But it's been 4 years, and, we're still kind of spinning our wheels here. And I feel really helpless. And so as a supporter, I just felt like, am I really helping? And then Ricky said something that was really amazing. He said, it's not easy to give up on yourself when others aren't giving up on you. And he said that is what got him through when he was in prison. Knowing that other people weren't giving up on him kept him from giving up on himself. And again, I sat there and think like, wow, I never thought about how much just being a supporter can mean to somebody. And that's why, again, write to the guys, especially right now when they're more isolated than ever. Brendan still gets to get out a little bit. He still gets a little bit of yard time, but Steve doesn't get out at all. I mean, their meals, they get out once a week, I think, for a shower. Meals are in the cell. Everything's in the cell. He's not able to get out at all. So this is when they need like human contact the most. So please keep those letters coming. I know that they can put the addresses in the comments again, and also on the website. Again, MaM-a-Thon.org has everything. Donations don't have to happen just this weekend. They're good anytime. You know, so if you don't, it's really tight for everybody right now. If you don't have anything to give, that is fine. Just being a voice is great. But 6 months from now, if you do have something to give, remember, you can always go to the website and you can see the links there. So the only other couple things I wanted to say were that yesterday we neglected to mention, at least I didn't mention it. I don't know if anyone else did. Yesterday was actually the 13th anniversary of Brendan's conviction.
Oh.
So yeah, so I should have said a little extra something for Brendan there, being that 13 years ago he got heard those terrible words, guilty. So yeah, so I was just thinking about Brendan a little bit more today. And then
I could have dedicated my entire first segment to it, but
yeah. Well, I didn't know if you said it was specifically because of the anniversary of the conviction. Did you?
I didn't. Well, I'm just, if I had known that, that's what I would have done. But
yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, it's like I just didn't think about it, you know. And also, I don't want to forget Teresa. I know we talk about MaM-a-Thon, we talk about the guys, we talk about everything, and obviously, we don't want to forget Teresa. You know, and we kicked it off with Sharon and made a beautiful video dedicated to her, and so we just want to make sure in all of this that we never want Teresa to be forgotten, because she is the one that we care about. You know, we want justice for her. You know, and that's just as important as getting the guys out, is finding out who actually did this to this poor girl. You know, and then my final thing, and then I'll finally shut up, as everyone's just sitting there like, oh my God, stop. We've already picked dates for next year. So this time, save the date, put it on your calendar now so everybody's available. I'm sure we're not going to have a pandemic next year, so people will have maybe other things to do. But if we plan it ahead of time, we got some pretty amazing guests this year, so it'll be even better if we can get better guests if we know ahead of time, like what dates to save. So, oh, okay, well, sorry. I didn't know that was mentioned. I'm just saying I didn't mention it yesterday. So I'm sorry if it was mentioned. So the dates are going to be the same weekend next year. So April 23rd to April 25th for next year. So everybody keep that date open, and we're going to do this again, this crazy thing again. And I would like to say that we're not going to need to, but let's be real, you know, with the way things are moving, we're going to need to.
Can I say something?
Yeah, I'm done now. So you guys can go ahead.
Tracy, it's for you, Tracy. I saw your segment, and it was really, really, really emotional. And at my level, if I can help, I would like to invite your guest on my channel to share the story, and after I will translate in French. And I'm always looking for an international translator to help me on the channel. But if I can help to continue to talk about the story, and if I can help you, I invite all of them to come on my channel to share their story.
That's awesome, and I thank you, and I will let them know
normal.
that. And
it's normal, totally normal.
Yeah. And so, yeah, so just a reminder that I'm hoping Doreen's going to let me know what day works for her, but hopefully I can have her on this week again. And I hope a lot of people can join me to show her some support again, because they said she really kind of wants to show us some more stuff. We just touched the surface on that case, if you can believe it. I mean, all the stuff you heard, and it's not even a drop in the bucket of what actually all went on in that case. So, so be here for that. Keep an eye on it if you can. But with that, I think I'm pretty much done with what I got to say. I'm going to stick around and see if there's anything else that anybody else has anything to say, but that's all I got.
Tracy, right. Thank you for reaching out. Thanks for letting me be a part of it. It was wonderful, and people start planting the seeds now for next year. If you want, like, big superstar guests, start right now getting them for next year. And it only takes one person, just one person that might hear someone's story that could do something really good. You never know who's watching your channel. I mean, Jerome could be doing something with someone from the United States, and someone over there could see. I mean, you just don't know who's watching, who's going to hear the story. So it's really important for people, I mean, like Nosy and Jinx and them to talk about it and get a channel. And even if you got 5 people watching, somebody might see,
Exactly.
So I appreciate you guys having me on. It's a great community. So Tracy, thank you. Thank you, everybody.
It was great to have you. Thanks for stepping in.
Yep.
Thanks to
Good
you,
job
Ricky.
to all the hosts and all the guests, and it was another very successful MaM-a-Thon. So very proud to be a part of that. And obviously, we'll be looking forward to another good one next year. So another great one next year. So
Hugh had a question here. Do you want to?
Let's see here.
We need to get Kardashian. There we go. I see her name in there. That's who we need to shoot
I was
next
trying
year.
to tweet at her this weekend.
Which one?
Yeah, who wants Kim Kardashian on their show?
That'll be all you, Hollywood, because God knows I try to get her attention. She ain't answering me. So I'll stick with Amanda Knox.
Hi, Sydney. It's good to see you.
So he was asking, I've seen many people making comments that I'd like to contact. Generally not a problem unless an alias is used, but in other cases, who would be the best person to ask as a facilitator? I assume you're talking about some of the Redditors that don't go by their own real given birth names? So that is tricky, Hugh, because personally with me, I consider the Redditors' identities sacred. So I don't know. You hit me up in private message, tell me who you want to contact, and I'll see if I can get them to contact you. How's that?
Well said.
And also, I know at least for my guests, and I'm sure others can do this too, I'm probably going to post on the website some of the contact information for the guests that I had on, their websites, things that I put up during the actual broadcast that I'll put in the Facebook group as well. So that, like I said, if you want to write any letters to John, or if you want to check out Ricky's website or follow Jason on Instagram, then you can have that information if you missed it during the broadcast. So I'll make sure to put that up, and all the other hosts are welcome to do the same for their guests.
All right.
Right.
Oh, wait. Was there another question? Can you announce that there will be a continuous play link on the website along with last year's? Okay, yeah. Last year, Julie put together a playlist of all of the segments, and so she's going to do that again this year, and it'll be up on the website when it's available. Which anyone that wants to sit through 40 hours straight, go for it. A lot of people did, actually, probably. Yes, when I have Dorian, it'll be on my channel, Nicole. Yeah, I'll put something in the Facebook group when it's on, and then it'll be on my channel when it's ready. I said I told her she said this week, but I don't know. But that's what she said. So, but I'll let you know as soon as we do. And then I'm going back into retirement for a while.
Oh, Stacy's gonna be. Is he really? That's good. Because, folks, I gotta show you. This is hilarious. This was Stacy last year after MaM-a-Thon ended.
Oh no!
Nobody.
1 hour later.
So it looks like he decided to solve his own problem this year. So I can't wait. I'll be over there.
Oh gosh.
7 pairs of panties. She said, I think Beauting and Strang should come on next year. My understanding is that Beauting has. Paul, why don't you answer this? Because you talked to Beauting about it. I think he said that once the whole thing's done and the appeals are done, then he might consider it. But no one's coming on as long as there's an open case. But Paul, what do you have to say on that?
Yeah, I spoke to him first of all in Amsterdam and obviously in Edinburgh, and obviously he was saying the fact that because he is going to be called as a witness, obviously for ineffective assistance of counsel, that he has to be very careful what he can say. So he's not completely sort of rejected the idea, and I've spoken to the dude about possible ways around that. Let's wait and see what transpires. But it would be good to reach out to Jerry and to say again, how about coming on and doing something. with the dude.
And Dean is not a social media guy, so I can think you can probably just cross off Dean right away. But Jerry obviously is very involved with social media, so I'm sure once he feels like it's ethically okay for him to do it, I'm sure he'll consider it. But yeah, I don't think anybody close to the case is going to do anything right now, as long as the case is still active.
Right. But Jerry,
I also wonder if maybe Jerry is a bit sort of concerned that, you know, the dude went all the way to Australia to give Steve Drizzen a T-shirt, but he's never been anywhere near Jerry with a T-shirt yet. So
we can blame Erekose for him not coming on.
But you got close to him with a T-shirt, Paul, because I have a picture of him holding one up.
Yes. Yes, that was in Amsterdam as well, and he was happy to hold it up and sign the book for me, you know. And also he was very grateful. I gave him a tie at Edinburgh. You know what I'm like with giving away ties. So I gave him one of my ties, and hopefully he'll wear that at some point in the future. So, mind you, I also sent Sheriff Herman a tie, and I've not seen any pictures of him wearing it. So you never know.
Jerome has everything. He's prepared for anybody you bring up. He's got something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you got Dr. Sandra Lean's book?
So is there anything else before we wrap it up? Any other questions? Anybody have?
Well, I've got a question for Erekose, actually.
Uh-oh.
Thoughts, please, dude, on how things have sort of developed when you consider way back somebody in your studio wearing a kilt, trying to persuade people to come forward and talk about the case.
I'd say I finally reached fruition.
So could you put the kilt back on as a celebration?
Can I put the kilt back on as a celebration? You know what? Yeah, fine. Since MaM-a-Thon was such a success, I'll do that sometime coming up here soon.
Without the white socks, ankle socks.
Right? And then, but here's the catch, Paul. Here's the catch. You have to send a sporran from Scotland.
I'll see what I can do.
I would just settle for the darker socks.
As soon as I receive the sporran, we're on. And then I'll be a cold ass challenge, right, Jerome?
Right.
No, you'll be an Erekose.
Erekose.
Oh, I love it. All right.
Oh my gosh.
It's been a great time, folks. And I got to say, it was a really fun way to end the MaM-a-Thon, laughing it up with you guys. And thank you, everybody out there in the live chats. I've been seeing you guys on everybody's live all weekend. Thank you for the support. It's been phenomenal. And everybody head over to Stacy's channel. I'm eager to see what he's got for the little caboose, or, you know, the little bumper here on MaM-a-Thon. So I'm very excited about that. Hope to see you all there. Thank you guys for being here.
Thanks to you, Mr. Cody.
Hold on, before you go. Charlie J74, thank you. I just want, I'm going to say it here. I'm not going to say it on my channel, but I leave on Tuesday to go to Florida for this Tiger King stuff. So pay attention, because when I get down there, there's going to be a lot of things happening. And hopefully I make it back.
Right. Media, folks.
We stay in touch.
Else, he needs you to raise the alarm if he doesn't make it back. So make sure you're watching.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly right.
You be careful, because there's some hungry tigers down there.
Yeah. Yes, there are. There really is.
And they say there's only hand-sized meat grinders, but they're lying.
Yeah.
They are lying. I can prove it. I can prove they're lying. Yeah. All right,
folks. Keep your eye on Johnny this week, especially on Tuesday when he gets to Florida. All righty.
See you
guys
guys.
know the song and dance. If you haven't already, please hit subscribe. We'll see you.
Cheers.
Paul, take care, buddy. See you, Jerome.